What is up, you guys? Welcome back to the Crimson Lounge. Back at it again with another recap of Primordial's Bounty. Say hi.
Hey.
Can't really say hi, everybody, because it's just the two of us.
Hey.
Yes.
Big.
Yeah. Yes, we're back at it again with another recap because I think it was about time that we do another one. Considering that the Silver Vein arc wasn't completely done being recapped over. And, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And we really should finish up the recap of that story so you have some extra footage to play with.
Extra content. Probably nobody...
Funny content.
Yeah, that probably nobody will watch, but hey, I didn't do this for fame and fortune. I want this to be a fun thing.
We all did.
Yes, we did. I guess no time to start then now. I believe last time we left off, you lot just got done fighting Alphonse the Mad.
Yeah, we left off by recapping the whole fight in the graveyard, dealing with solving the undead problem that was going on, and the mysterious obelisk, which led to our encounter with Alphonse the Mad.
Which, for a recap on that part, essentially after you guys got done with going to Silverleaf, dealing with the bandits there, and finding out that there was a book that you need to go find that was stolen that was the stolen cargo. Governor Kane got a distress message saying Gale Meadow was under attack by a horde of undead and sent you guys to go after it. Maybe finding clues as to where this book was, considering that its purposes of being used was for necromancy.
Yep.
Which led you to go to Gale Meadow, you talked to the locals, and went into the Dome of Dread Fog, and searched around and fought against Alphonse the Mad, which, may I say, I liked the encounter because it had the perfect balance of it being hard but yet fulfilling at the end of it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it was a difficult encounter, but the fact that you guys made it out of it was pretty phenomenal.
Oh, yeah. Although, I didn't really like it because I didn't get to die. You didn't let me die!
No, I didn't let you die, and you're gonna have to suffer for the rest of the game until eventually you do die proper.
When I die, it's gonna be a blaze of glory.
Well, he died.
And I will cheat death until it happens.
He didn't die with a bang, he died with a whimper.
Hey, dying with a grenade in your hand is still a bang.
But yes, you guys fought Alphonse the Mad. You beat him. You saved the town. You helped with the reconstruction of the town out of the goodness of your own heart. With the little bit of payment, which is where they let you use their forge to craft some things, like I think you crafted some armor along with Gaines's fire spear.
The fire spear I definitely remember. If I did make any armor, I really do not remember.
Yeah, I don't remember either. I think it was just like slight modification. I think it was just the fire spear, and I'm thinking of the armor later on down the road. But you made the fire spear, which about goddamn time, considering the fact.
Well, I'm sorry that I can't just do it on the road.
I mean, fair. Fair.
I mean, what? Do you want me to just pop a forge out in the middle of the cart and just start making one?
No, but that's a good magic item idea.
I mean, Kittle's Tasty did make a good set of magic items for like instant forging on the road.
Yeah.
Like there's one that actually works like the door to a safe space, except instead it just literally takes you to a workshop with every tool imaginable and every workspace imaginable.
You know what's funny? Adventure Zone did it first.
So
it's just funny, like because
look, they may have done it first, but I didn't find out until Kibble's Tasty, so it's irrelevant to me.
Fair enough. But yes, you helped with the reconstruction of the town for about a couple of days. Both Akane and Sips helped healing the townsfolk who were gravely injured during the zombie apocalypse.
I helped the rebuilding and that's actually also what I did is I just forged a bunch of nails, hinges, a bunch of other stuff that was needed for repairs.
You tried to help with making some like crystal eyes for those who have lost eyes during the incursion, but unfortunately due to the lack of proper crystalline material to make proper eyes that could work, you ended up just making eye patches.
That too.
But after a couple of days of working in the town, the rest of your party, which contain Gale, the Air Genasi barbarian, Harley, the high elf bard, RV, the dwarven alchemist, Metra, the high elf wizard, and Jade, the lupine druid. You all met back up in Gale Meadow and explained the situation about Alphonse, and then you learned the actual history about Alphonse, about how he was out on one of his monthly fishing expeditions, and he came back with his memory lost due to a sea hag that stole them, and because of which he went mad and paranoid, lashing out at the townsfolk, and eventually leading down to him killing his wife with his unborn child still within inside.
Yep. It was dark.
Yeah, which I will say, pointing out, before you knew that information, Sips, when one of the nights where you guys were drinking and making merry, Sips told the story of the events that took place inside the fog.
Yeah, as Sips want to do.
Do you remember the story that she spun?
Honestly, no, because I honestly think I was half paying attention at the time, and it has been a long time anyway since we were there.
So essentially, what Sips said was, "Oh, it was Alphonse the Mad and his hatred for the town that caused the dome to happen and send the undead towards you," which was not at all what happened.
Right.
Yeah, and immediately after learning about this information about him losing his memory through sea hags, like
180, 100%, 180 on of this bastard just wanted to kill the whole town. Well, he's a victim of a sea hag. The sea hag needs to die.
Yeah, which cemented her hatred to witches, which is interesting considering On is playing a witch.
Hashtag not all witches. Thanks.
Fair enough.
I think I'm gonna say that to him next time. Just out of character. Just go, hey, Clyde. Hashtag not all witches. Thanks.
No. Hashtag not all witches are bitches.
I mean, I'd say that's true, but come on, you gotta be at least a little bit of a bitch to be a witch.
After you guys talked with Metra and the rest of the party, you essentially waited for the next day to come around, and you set off to basically the road to Whitestone, which led you to one of the nearby towns, I believe... I can't remember the name of the town in particular. Let's see here. I think it was... Whitefield. That's what it was.
Yeah.
So you travel down the road to Whitefield, which you guys stayed there for a bit, and one of the side quests that you did there was help a blacksmith out with dealing with elemental slag, which are basically little elemental creatures that pop out of the furnace on occasions if you don't have magically treated wood. And essentially, due to the fact that he didn't have any magical treated coals, they came out and started burning the place. He managed to shove them down in his basement, and he hired you guys to deal with it.
Yep. And thus we went into a basement with slags, and I believe there ended up being like some sort of smoke elemental or a smoke method or something like that.
It was a smoke elemental.
That's what I thought it was.
Yeah, I thought it was a good idea to add in a smoke elemental because in the basement there was a bunch of wooden crates, and when you burn wood, smoke appears, and smoke elemental. And also the fact that if you just fought the slag elementals alone, like it was easy. Like that was gonna be over in like 2 rounds. Yeah, it was like dealing with rats essentially. It was way too fucking easy.
Like, we shouldn't have even had the combat. We should have had, like, skill rolls.
Exactly, yeah. Which, during that fight, it was the beginning of us starting to realize that Sips's monk class was a lot weaker than I thought it was. We didn't make the change there. It was actually a little bit down the road before we decided to change Sips from the player's handbook version of the monk to Bone Wizard's monk, because let's be honest, it was a lot better in making the monk a lot more suitable for frontline fighting and staying in the fight a lot longer than the simple 3-turn knockout that Sips always seems to find herself in.
Mm-hmm.
But it was the first sign that I realized that Monk wasn't the greatest, at least in early levels.
How is it that Sonic puts it? Because I feel like, honestly, he describes it the best. Of the monk should be just a differently patterned fighter in a lot of cases, because ultimately in most circumstances the fighter's always going to be just doing the job of a monk, but better.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
And it doesn't help the fact that's like, monk is weaker by default, regardless of how much con you're investing in, because a D10 is always going to be bigger then a D8, and that is going to exponentially get bigger.
Yeah, that and the lack of armor that a monk uses, and the weapon limitations, depending on what subclass you pick.
Well, here's the thing. And this is something that I do feel that Sonic has pointed out. It's while AC is always going to be one of those issues, the thing is that ultimately, in at least in early levels, the monk is always going to suffer but will eventually become on par with other classes that have high ACs or that use armor to like negate the problems of not having a high AC. Like fighters, paladins, they could just wear heavy armor. Because if their dex isn't that high, they could just slap on some heavy armor and just have like a 17 and just call it good.
Yeah, and that's true.
And Monk doesn't get that benefit at first, because at first they really only get to apply their unarmored defense bonuses, which usually can put them on equal terms in terms of starting equipment, usually. But the thing is that they need the ability to do so, and they have to grow it through leveling up and just playing the game. In other words, they have to hit their milestones or their XP boosts and just get to the point where they can just dump everything into the stats needed to get it higher.
Yeah.
And eventually they get on par and even can potentially surpass fighters and paladins even, but they take time to get there. Whereas, again, fighter paladin just slap some plate armor on and you're good. Have a shield, automatic. That's like an automatic AC of 21.
Although, with that being said, it wasn't the AC that has been the problem with Sips, because during her run as Sips during the Silver Vein arc, she had like an AC of 17, which that is pretty high for like levels 1 through 5. All things considering.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Her AC wasn't necessarily her problem. It was really just the health and just incredibly bad luck.
Yeah, very bad luck. I felt bad because it's always when it's like it's all in the rolls. Like normally it's like everybody else gets the crappy rolls. It just whenever it lands on Sips, it just be like, oh, now you decide to roll well. It's like
now you decide to crit someone. Where was this on the tank? Where was this on the Artificer, who I haven't been able to hit for 5 fucking rounds?
Yeah, and it's like I want there to be a challenge, but I do want it to be fair for everybody in situations like this, because it's not fun if only one person is suffering while everybody else is just sitting in the back, just barely touched at all. Which I will say, looking back on it now to what we changed with Sips, she went from always getting hit and down to barely getting touched at all in combat.
Yeah.
And it's mostly because of the fact that because of Bone Wizard's that he typed in for deflect attack instead of deflect missile, which that should have been a monk staple from the get-go, right?
Should have been, wasn't, because I mean, if there's one thing I've been learning about Wizards of the Coast recently, I'm honestly starting to think that they don't even understand what D&D is anymore. But that's neither here nor there.
Yeah. But in the here now, you guys defeated the Slag Elementals, and defeated the Smoke Elemental, which gain the favor of the blacksmith that you helped out. And in exchange, he was willing to enchant 2 of your items to do cold damage, which were Zilyana's whip and Akane's fan. That her only fan, not that website. She had 2. She lost 1 because she threw it at. Was it this one that she threw it at? Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. I think she threw it at a slag elemental and it burned away.
Honestly, I couldn't. I'm gonna tell you, I don't even remember. Like, I remember her having 1 the entire time because she never used them. Hell, she never even used her quarterstaff, and I'm honestly surprised I remember she even had that.
Yeah. Yeah. No. She had 2 fans. She lost 1 because it was due to fire damage that burned it because she threw it at a elemental that was on fire. Which now I'm thinking about it, I think it was during the your trip back from Silverleaf to Silvervein when you had to deal with the fire elementals that popped out of the bonfire you made.
I mean,
it was either that or the slag elementals, which I don't think that was the case at all, because those were the only 2 instances of you dealing with fire elementals, essentially.
Yeah, maybe. Like I said, I don't. And like I said, truth be told, I only remember her having the 1. But then again, that's kind of an easy mistake to make since she rarely ever used her weapons to begin with.
Well, I mean, to be fair, based off her class thing and how she was mostly designed to be either back to midline, like, her fighting shouldn't have been an option. If she was to fight, she should be tossing out her elemental bolts instead of having to go up and throw her war fans or bonk them with the staff.
Oh no, I 100% agree. The way her class works, she should be a mid to back line, and she should stay there and fight at range. If she absolutely has to, then pull out weapons and fight. But I say that you should only really do that if it's a last resort, like the enemy is in your face, they can't get off of you, you can't escape. Like, whack them and just tell them to fuck off. But that's just how I see the class, and we all know how Liz is with her tendency to just smack things whenever she so chooses.
Yeah, I agree with that. But there was something else that happened during that encounter. Something big,
yes.
Actually.
Yes.
That I am never gonna let down.
Oh no, you are not.
So during that encounter, you saw something that was interesting. Because Metra, for all you're aware of, was a high elf child based off of her size and stature, and the fact that that high elves don't really get that small unless they're children. During that fight, when you fought the smoke elementals and you brought her along with Harvey to that encounter, you saw her transform into to a more appropriate adult form. And you saw a more confident side to her as she was casting spells left and right, helping you guys in the midst of combat. And nobody gave a shit about it. Not one. Not a single goddamn one.
No reaction whatsoever.
Not a single goddamn one. You know how I managed to get you guys to fucking acknowledge that it happened? I had to get I had to get Harvey to fucking say it out loud. Like, hey, wasn't that weird that Metra transformed into an adult and everybody's like, oh yeah, and I'm just over here dying on the inside.
Now, you know what we really should have done? We really should have just all looked at each other and just said, no, that's not weird, get with the program. Just to make you hate it even more.
The amount of times that I wanted to die throughout the entire Silvervein arc is like, god damn, man. Because it started off with Metra the first time you met her. Nobody questioned the fact, oh, this child is working with the governor. Why is that happening? Nobody questioned it. Faye, the bartender. Ravens coming out of the hair and going back into her hair and making no sign that there was a raven at all inside of her hair. No reaction. This instance of Metra transforming, not a single fucking reaction.
Pain.
Oh. Oh, God, man.
Listen, son, you just get on your knees. I'm gonna rack this shell and you tell me when you're ready.
What does that even mean?
Don't worry about it. You get to tend the rabbits, George.
Oh, no. Just look at the rabbits, George. No. Fucking hell.
DMing. It's pain.
It's only pain if you don't have the players that are willing to react to things that are like that, which I'm noticing that is the case. Thank God Boss is in this game, because dear God, I can only count on him to give the proper reaction to shit like this.
Yeah.
But anyways, after telling you flat out about it,
existential crisis over.
Yeah, after the existential crisis was over and you guys talked to Metra, you learn apparently when she was in one of the magical schools in the capital of the Leviathan Empire, she casted a chronomancy spell that basically caused her to revert her age back to when she was a child, and only in moments of life-endangering stress will she transform into her original adult form. And essentially her personality was kind of split that way, where, you know, her typical, like, childish or childish, timid demeanor is normally shown throughout all parts of the day, where her more serious, controlled, and stoic demeanor of being a powerful wizard is shown while in adult form. Which is a fun fact, because in adult form, she has not spoken a single word. So, yeah.
Yeah.
You talked to her, you discussed, like, yeah, I mean, we're willing to help you out if you want to, which ultimately kind of annoyed her a little bit, more so than encouraged her, because if you gotta think of it from the perspective of her side, like, she's been trying to find a way to reverse this for quite some time, And then out of the blue, a couple strangers come over and see this happen and are like, "Hey, don't worry, we'll help you find it. Yeah, it can't be that hard." Motherfucker, I've been doing this for almost a year now.
Fine, you stupid whore. We don't accept the help of some strangers who actually may or may not risk life and limb to help you. That's fine.
I mean, she'll accept the help. It's just the constant, like, "Hey, don't worry about it. We'll find a way to reverse this for you." And it's like, that's not.
No. I get it. It's we definitely did not handle that the best way. Actually, we handled none of it. None of it well. Actually, really thinking about it, that whole situation was handled badly. Yeah, that was a fucking mess.
Yeah, but with that aside, and a couple more, and a day's travel later, you finally made it to Whitestone, a large city with a giant wall made out of white stone. It's basically a more fortified town with a lot more stone and buildings than actual natural elements to it, like trees and grass and flowers and stuff like that. Mostly it was designed to be a fortification, a place of defense, just in case that the island was ever taken over by any force, by any means necessary. This was going to be
it was meant to be a stronghold.
Yeah. So, this actually brings up the question: what were your thoughts on Whitestone when you first entered through the wall?
Honestly, I don't really remember. All I can really remember is this place is really fucking white, and I thought that like the other and I thought the other city was bright on color. This one is just like, wow.
I mean, there's a reason for it.
No, I know there's a reason for it, but it's still just one of those cases where it's just like, wow. You really love the color white, don't you?
To be fair, I mean, there wasn't really much of a choice in that department, considering that most of these stone blocks were carved from Mount Silver, and the innermost part of the mountain is made out of what has white stone within it.
But like I said, I get it. I do. It's just, like I said, it's one of those cases where even when you understand it, you just can't help but let that thought process go through.
Yeah.
Of, holy hell, it is bright here.
That and kind of claustrophobic. It was a gridded kind of city. More uniform.
Yeah, but honestly, the only person who was like really affected by that was Jade.
Oh, Jade was not happy in the slightest of being there, due to the fact that it was just like the lack of nature and it being somewhat cut off from the rest of the world, or the rest of the natural world. It's just, she was not having a good time. And it didn't help the fact that both the Sips and Gaines were like feeding into this fear slowly by saying like one sentence about it that is just like, almost gave that poor rabbit girl a panic attack.
Remind me if we ever remind me. I need to make a bag with some flower scents in it, or some nature scent, maybe with a hint of dew. just so that if she ever gets like that again in a close space that's like no nature at all, she can just hyperventilate in it.
I mean, you could probably get if you get a prestidigitation enchantment on it and have it smell like a forest.
I actually really want to get that cantrip back, but like
it's a really good cantrip.
It is a really good cantrip, but the problem is that it's like I need to I think let me see. What are the cantrips? I know Static Spark is Static Shock or whatever. Yeah, Static Bolt. That's the one I have, and the other one I have is Message. And unfortunately, I don't get any other cantrips until a later level. It's I like a lot of the Artificer cantrips that you can get both official and homebrew. But the problem is that you get you have to pick from such a small selection to use, and it's like unless DMs are willing to bend the rule of change cantrips out per rest instead of level up, then it gets problematic, and you're kind of stuck with them.
Yeah,
but again, this is a problem. I don't think it. This is more of a problem I have just with the way the game works, and that's pretty much it. I feel like cantrips really should be treated with the same versatility as spells do, just because there are classes that get so little of them and really need to flex them out to be flexible with them, just like the spellcasters do.
And that's fair, but the other bit is the fact that Artificers are half-casters, and the only two half-casters don't get cantrips.
They can, technically, if they take a specific fighting style.
Yes, they can if they take a fighting style, but originally, before Tasha's, they couldn't.
Yes, and while it makes sense, while it makes sense, I still am of the belief they still should be able to swap them out. Because
per level up, right?
I would say you should be allowed to switch them in long rests.
Yeah, I can understand your thoughts on that, but yeah.
Because especially if you're not a full caster, it's really restrictive, and especially as a class that is built around being utility based, that's kind of an important. There's a lot of good utility cantrips, and you can't pick a lot of them.
Yeah,
because you get 2 up until 9th level. Then you get 3 up until 13th, and then at 14th you get 4. That's all you get.
Yeah, it's a shame that Artificer wasn't in the new player's handbook.
Yeah, because yes, because Wizards hates Artificer, but again, that's neither here nor there. I'm not going to get into that.
Oh, they don't hate Artificer. They're just waiting for the next book to make more of that moolah.
Sure. I am convinced that they think Artificer was a mistake in some cases.
It's a good idea.
Yeah, it's a good idea. Look, we're going off on a bit of a tangent.
Yeah, I guess that's fair.
And if we get on this conversation, if we really go into this topic, we'll be here all day.
That's fair. So, getting back on to the topic, you guys were traveling through Whitestone. You were escorted by a couple of Gale archers riding on top of griffins. Gale decided to strike up.
That happened.
Yeah, Gale decided to strike up a conversation with one of them, asking about the structure of the city and how the two cities work. Which, again, Whitestone is a defense fortification city, while Silvervein is more of the offense situation, as there are more Ocean Knights there than there are in Whitestone. Which, after a bit of talking, and the captain of the guard that was escorting you guys was realizing that Gaines was asking too many questions for a goblin to know, especially considering the racial stereotype of a goblin in the Leviathan Kingdom. Quickly stopped the conversation. And
That I
then,
don't remember clearly, but yeah.
yeah, uh, and then you made your way to the office of Commander Rivers,
Yeah, Rivers. That
which,
stupid bitch.
yeah, she is a old water genasi woman who's been in service of the Leviathan Empire for a long time. Was promoted to basically become like another governor of the city to run this town along with its military defenses. And soon, you'll find out her connection in all of this as you guys discuss the situation about how you guys freed Gale Meadow from the undead and helped repair the town, and you started asking her about the perpetrator that stole the Book of Vile Darkness, which she explained was her old companion, Markov, the Archmage.
An archmage with a perpetuate history.
Yeah.
Oldest trick in the book.
I mean, she explains like originally, Markov was a part of the military as the archmage of a ship, which he did his job very well with keeping the by using his spells to help the ship and deal with those who are trying to invade or take down pirates who are trying to fuck around and find out, essentially. But after Rivers and him were promoted to help run Whitestone, it was during the Third Great War between the Phoenix Kingdom and the Leviathan Empire. He decided that, you know what, I think I'm going to contribute by trying to make better soldiers for the Leviathan Empire. And his only thought was, what's a better soldier that does not need to eat, drink, or sleep and don't feel pain when they are hurt? Undead.
It's always an archmage behind these sorts of things.
It's a good old classic.
See, you get it. Oldest trick in the book. Need someone to make an army of undead because they're the perfect soldier? Make it an archmage. Because they're the only fuckers smart enough to figure it out.
Yeah.
Also crazy enough to actually do it. Either out of boredom or because they can.
It's like, I wanted him to, because there is a subclass called the Domain of Death from the Cleric subclass, but I couldn't really make that fit well, because when it comes to gods, like, they have their domains, and if he was a part of the Leviathan Empire, he would be worshipping Usi, the aspect of water, which is Tempest, and in order for him to convert to, it would just be a big consequential thing if he converted from Usi to Mara.
Mm-hmm.
So, and him being related, being a worshiper of Mara to begin with, he wouldn't be a part of the Empire because it's an evil undead god. Like, fuck no, you're not a part of the Empire. The only thing that would fit would be Wizard.
Yeah.
So, he started off by using the decease of the enemies to start conducting his experiments, which, simple enough, he can convert them into zombies or skeletons as he wants, but the problem is the fact that they were so weak that a common soldier can kill them in one shot. Like, what's the point of having a undead army if they're just going to get one-tapped? So he decided to continuously experimenting to see how strong he can make a zombie or skeleton, so that way they can last longer and be more effective in the war. But as time progressed, he started losing bodies for him to experiment on, to the point where there was nothing left for him to experiment on, and his experiments were basically on hiatus because there was nothing for him to use. So he did the one thing that came to mind as a little bit of a drastic measure, but it was necessary if he wanted to help end the war with the Leviathan Empire and the Phoenix Kingdom. He decided to dig up the deceased soldiers that were honorably buried in Whitestone.
When in doubt, grave rob.
Yeah.
I mean, you need bodies. That's the next best thing. Go to the graveyard. It's where dead people like to hang out.
Yeah. The reason why he went after deceased soldiers was because, you know, his mindset was essentially like, all right, so these were trained soldiers. Like, maybe the type of body I'm using will help amplify how strong the undead can be. Where if it was a commoner, it would just be a weak-ass skeleton or zombie. But if it was a well-fighting soldier, maybe it would add more to it.
Yeah, which, I mean, is a good theory, and which is good in theory. I just think he should have... Like, honestly, from one smart person who understands the scientific method to another, I think he probably should have stuck with trying a controlled test with a more muscular, soldier-like body before going grave robbing. But that's just me. What do I know?
Well, to be fair, he ran out of bodies.
Just get better at harvesting, forehead.
Yeah, I guess that's true. But but eventually he did get caught, and he had to flee the Empire, so he doesn't get arrested, and he was not heard of ever since, and only making headway now because he has the Book of Vile Darkness.
Maybe that's what I should have done. I should have just criticized his research. Just told him he was being sloppy. God, I'm such an asshole.
Well, the thing was, he was using muscular bodies. It was just the fact that it was during his early start of necromancy that it didn't build any fruition. It was only until he ran out of bodies he realized his mistake, and it was like, damn it, the body needs to be fit enough for me to raise them up as stronger zombies or skeletons.
Yeah, no, I get it. It's like if you're trying to experiment in something that's not your forte, you're definitely gonna make some mistakes in terms of like trying to figure out the proper methods and theories to go about it. Like that's just how science goes. Like, actually, there was an incorrect Artificer quote that is literally just the scientific method is fuck around and find out.
Which, funny enough, I'll go ahead and tell you this at a game. He was actually from the start an abjuration wizard.
Abjuration wizard. Remind me what they do.
Protection
magics.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, shield is abjuration, wall of force abjurations.
Right.
Anything defensive, it's basically abjuration magic.
Right. Basically him from, like, switching his focus from a defensive magic to an undead life force controlling magic is a very different different thing to get the hang of as a wizard.
Yeah, pretty much. So, I kind of want after me getting done explaining his backstory, what were your thoughts when you finally saw the face of Markov and the whole backstory Captain Rivers gave about him?
Well, I think from Starzin's perspective, it was just the kind of thing of, his thought process, I think, all through it this is a guy who genuinely believes his ends justify the means, but he doesn't realize he's literally becoming the monster he's trying to stop. Like, from a character perspective, it's pretty much that. The ends don't justify the ends absolutely in this case do not justify the means, and as a matter of fact, you're actually you're literally becoming the monster that you swore to destroy, kind of thing.
Either you die a hero or live long enough to become a villain.
Yep, and that's pretty much where Starzin's mindset was, because from Starzin's perspective, the war is horrible, but he's at least smart enough to know that he's not going to have any major role in it, and that him not contributing anything to it in one way or another and actively trying to avoid it is probably the best, not only for him, but for the sake of everybody he cares about at most. Because if you know even the slightest bit about how a war works, it's just going to play out no matter who fights what side or does what for what side. It's just going to play out, and you just got to let it burn until one side eventually just gives up or is just completely and functionally annihilated. And Starzin's is just smart enough to see that it's something he just needs to walk away from. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I get what you mean, and I agree with that sentiment a little bit, but sometimes even walking away from something that as big as, this war that's going on, it'll eventually catch up to you, regardless if you want to be, if you want it to be, if you want to be a part of it or not. It's just inevitability at that point.
Oh yeah, I mean, that's going to be the case with any war. I mean, look at history as a perfect example. But what I'm saying is, it's no real stranger that someone would just think that ultimately it's going to play out, and if they can avoid putting themselves in it and playing any real part in it that will ultimately be insignificant, then why should you? And the thing is that with both of our sides are technically true, in that one is true and the other is also true, but they're true at different points in a war and at a person's life when they're in the middle of a war. But again, that's a more complicated thing.
Yeah. Which will be explored more as the campaign goes on.
Mm.
Honestly, I can't wait to get everybody's intake on that one when the war becomes more pronounced as time goes on, as you travel from island to island.
Well, I definitely know one thing: ain't nobody gonna be able to run and hide from it for very long. Even people who are trying to. Foreshadowing.
Yeah. But speaking of running and hiding, after the council you had with Commander Rivers and the one request that she made from you, Starzin, to bring Markov back alive so she can have her own closure with him before he ascends to death. You lot stayed at a hotel, essentially. And it was actually at this city where you met your next crew member, Shock Reyes.
Yep. Good old Shock Reyes.
Yes. Shock Reyes, a Sapphire Gem Dragonborn Warden.
A wall, a blue boy, and a himbo.
To the highest degree, he is a himbo.
Loyal, proud, strong, and himbo.
And dumbass.
And dumbass himbo.
Yeah. Dear God, the reception I got from Shock Reyes when it came to his introduction was everything I wanted with the other fucking characters that I introduced. The little to no fucking fanfare. No, it's the fucking himbo that gets the treatment. As fucking Clyde pitches a tent.
What can I say? He's got a thing for himbos.
Apparently not German himbos.
Well, yeah, that's because German himbos are, well.
So
let's not get into that.
Yeah, so a little bit of backstory on Shock Reyes. So he is a part of the Storm Clergy, which is basically a subsect between between Air Rail and Usi, church that basically is all about help protect people from storms, whether it is guiding people on ships to find a direct path to avoid storms, or to help villages and towns with dealing with oncoming storms by helping them with fortifying the area, making sure things stay stable long enough so that way they are not destroyed or knocked over, and essentially stuff like that. That's the whole point of the Clergy of the Storm. And Shock Reyes is definitely the latter of it, but he can guide ships if he is designated to do so. He's a friend of Jim, and that's kind of how he was introduced, because after the whole discussion about Markov, realizing, I think we might need a little bit more backup if we're dealing with an archmage with an army of undead. I have a friend that was here who can definitely help us in by basically being a wall for us. And lo and behold, Shock Reyes was born.
Yep. We got our giant himbo wall, and we also got to hear his new entrance.
The lightning bolt that crashes every time he says his name, Shock Reyes. I'll probably add in an actual lightning sound.
Just edit and post.
Yeah. So, on the topic of Shock Reyes, what was your thoughts when he was first introduced? Because I know Clyde fucking loved him.
Yeah, we all know Clyde immediately pitched tent, sips massive lady boner.
Heart palpitation.
He is perfect. As a player, I was like, "Oh, cool! Cool. There's more. This is more of the Warden I really get to see, because it's like initially, I really liked the class, and granted, I've only played it like once, but I like the flavor of the class and enjoyed it a lot. But then I was thinking, oh, this is gonna be cool because I'll get to see more of what the class does, and I'll get to see more of what this particular subclass is capable of. From a character standpoint, it was more of, well, we've got another tank. We got another tank that we can use to put between us and the enemy, and that's gonna be handy because the zombies have been pretty fucking relentless. And also, I was thinking maybe he might become maybe he could be useful with the whole magmable ordeal. Foreboding.
Yeah, but we'll get to that in a minute. I'm not gonna lie, when I first introduced Shock Reyes, I was a little bit nervous about him due to the fact that he was such a out there personality compared to the characters that you've met already, kind of deal. Because this is my first time doing an NPC that's just like, aha!
That is just so loud and just
loud, boisterous, jovial. Yeah, like it's like he's not the normal NPC that I would be running per se. Matter of fact, I don't think there wasn't. There's not really another NPC that I ran in the past campaigns that I did that you're not gonna find on here because we're just now started recording. There wasn't really an NPC that I made that was kind of on the same vein as Shock Reyes, and I was worried that maybe the personality of his would deter you guys, but no, the exact opposite effect happened.
Hey, sometimes you need a character that's just a little out there and just loud and boisterous, and in Clyde's case, that is just a himbo.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. But
I mean, can't have everybody being the same.
Yeah, that is also true. Otherwise it would just get fucking boring as all hell.
Yeah, just really have us going.
But after you guys met Shock Reyes and slowly began to love this man, you guys talked about the next steps, which was for you guys to split off with you five, with Shock Reyes and Harley heading over to Whitehill to find, or to like see if there was any clues about the whereabouts of Markov, but also to find and free the magma bull that was in the Whitehill underground fighting pit. On the due to the fact that Akane was definitely like, oh yes, we're going to do this.
Yeah, we're doing this.
We're doing this.
But we're doing this. But we're doing this.
I feel like you're giving Akane too much credit. It was just more like, yeah, we should do that. And
no, I'm just
fucking moved on.
Oh no, I am. I'm just saying this for dramatic effect.
I know. In character, that's what Akane should have said multiple times, but it was just a one and done kind of deal when it came to Liz trying to roleplay.
Well, yeah. I think if we really did try that, she wouldn't have caught on.
No, she wouldn't have. Is like, watching back on these episodes, I began to realize, like, wow, she was not meant for role-playing games.
Yeah.
But lesson learned. We have new people in our group, and we're doing fine. So you lot basically split up, taking Harley and Shock Reyes off to Whitehill, which led us to one of our most memed situations that we ever had in our campaigns.
And one that I will never live down till the end of my days.
Goddamn right we won't. So
you know what? It's fair. You have nobody appreciated your characters. I have this.
Equal exchange.
The law of equivalent exchange. Or, as I will call it in this case, the law of equivalent cringe.
So, for context, for Roll20, I have a extension called Better Roll20, based off the website that basically has everything, basically everything up to date from 5th edition onwards. With everything that's been updated, such as classes, monsters, spells, and stuff like that. But the extension also allows me to divide layers up. So there's a weather layer for just in case if I want to add weather effects to it, or a foreground effect, or a background effect that I could put over the map for roads and riverways and stuff like that. Everything to make it neater, so that way it's not all on the same layer, just in case if I need to edit something out and I'm not highlighting the map, because I need more than 3 layers than what the fucking thing is giving me. Turns out Creepah didn't have that extension, and all the maps, all the roads that I made it can only be seen by those who have the extension. So when Gaines was traveling from Whitestone to White Hill, Creepah decided to speak up.
Yeah.
Say the line, Creepah.
Why are you going that way? Where's the road?
Yeah!
I expect my royalties.
So, it took us a good minute to realize why you were saying that, because it was... because at first we were just so confused, like, what do you mean? Do you want us to hoof it there? Because you can only follow, like, because you're in a cart, you can only follow the road, and you're like, I don't see a road, and because I was a little bit more confused, like, what the fuck do you mean? Of course you don't see a road going off the fucking thing. The road is down, around, and up. And it was just a constant thing of you saying, I don't see a road! What do you mean you don't see a road? It means I haven't seen a road ever since we started this game! And I'm like, oh. You don't have the extension, do you? No! I have Opera GX! It doesn't have extensions!
Yep, because everybody else is playing on, like, Chrome, Firefox. I'm using Opera GX. The extension doesn't exist on Opera GX. So, pretty much because of that, I didn't have access to the extension and couldn't see it. I couldn't see anything. And up until this point, I never said anything, because the way we were traveling through the roads to all the other towns, it's like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. I mean, it's like I didn't have enough of reason to really question it, because it looked like a logical path to take. But all of a sudden, we're going to a town that's to the north fucking east of Whitestone. We go south, then northeast, then north, and I'm just like, what?
Yeah, and because of that, I had to inevitably put all the roads and riverways onto the map layer for everybody to see, which you were definitely reluctant. It's like, no, I want to suffer. I don't want to see. I don't want your pity. And
I don't want your fucking pity and handout.
Exactly. And I was like, well, that's too fucking bad. How is it?
Yeah, it is too fucking bad, because now you have to pander to my wants and wishes.
Oh, Christ. But essentially, every time a new map appears, that a new island map appears, we always have to say, alright, does everybody see the road?
And I have to drink.
Take a shot every time.
Oh no, I don't take a shot. I just take swigs of the bottle.
So yeah, that is going to be a permanent meme until the end of this campaign.
You know what? It's fine because there was one worse than mine.
Oh yeah, we'll get to that. Actually, there's two worse than yours. Actually, the only other one that's on par was the whole I look at a wall. No, it was I admire the wall.
See, I would call that on par with mine. But let's be honest. At least I had a reason.
Well,
for my vengeance.
That and also, it's not the same without Liz being here to bully her for it.
I don't want to bully her for it, because at this point, it's beating a dead horse.
Yeah, fair enough. But
not even gently, like with a sledgehammer.
Oh God, dear Lord. Oh man, but yes. After finding the road, you made your way to White Hill, which you found the entranceway into the Goblin hideout, which is a underground fighting arena, containing 3 different layers. The first layer is like concession stands, concession stands, betting booths, stuff like that. The second layer is basically where a second row of like where the viewers can watch from above and see the fight. The third layer is where the actual fighting arena is, along with more room for people to sit down and watch and get an up closer view of the fights that are happening. And the plan was for you guys to the original plan from the very start when you guys were first discussing about how to deal with the Magma Bull was to wait and see what his fighting style was before you start sending people in to fight him. That got thrown out the window when Clyde walked up as Sips to the signing up booth and made herself go first in line to fight the Magma Bull.
And thus all my genius was wasted immediately.
And I remember what you said as soon as that happens. You said in character with your metal hand, Starzin slaps his face with it.
Yep. Because if that doesn't describe his frustration with it, I don't know what does.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like he just takes his big old hand, slaps himself in the face, and just pulls it down slowly. So it's like the face of just like, kill me. While it's red after getting shot by a metal fist whose palm is about the size of his face alone.
Yeah. Oh man. I mean, what was the saying? Like, not all plans survive first contact, or something like that.
Yeah, the old saying is no plan survives first contact with the enemy. And this is definitely one of those cases where it's accurate, but instead it's no plan survives first contact with your allies.
It didn't even make first contact. It crashed when it opened the door.
Exactly. We didn't even get to contact the enemy. It just, the minute the garage door opened, it was just immediate. It was immediate head-on collision.
Immediate Family Guy fall.
Pretty much.
Oh man, but so Sip signed up. Then it was Shockgrace because he won a rock paper scissors match against Gaines, and then Gaines signed up last. Which everybody betted on themselves, essentially.
That's right, that did happen. They had a rock, paper, scissors match, and I was just like, I hate every single one of you. Because I was just so fucking frustrated.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wanted to pull my hair out.
I think the other condescending thing that Sips did was when Bettings was going on, and it was like, and the Goblin was like, "What's wrong? You don't have confidence in your teammates?" And Sips was like, "Yeah, Starzin, do you have no confidence in me whittling down the Magma Bull?"
If I really wanted to be in character like I was now, I would have just had Starzin just immediately reach out with his fist to grab her by the neck and just start Homer Simpson choking her like Bart.
Why, you little... Just oversized fist just grabs her, all of her body, just squeezes and just drags her away. Oh man, but yeah, so 3 of your companions signed up for the fight, which was essentially they all go in one at a time and to fight the Magma Bull, which Zips went first, and her plan didn't go quite that well. Because originally I thought her plan was to fight him from a distance by throwing darts at him, because monk weapon, and she does a lot of damage, or not a lot of damage, but doing an average amount of damage with her monk die with the ranged weapon. But eventually she stopped doing that, went close to him, and tried to fight him, which was a big fucking mistake, considering the fact that he has a warhammer that catches on fire when around magma.
Yep.
So, in like, I think 2-3 rounds, Sips got knocked out again.
Yep.
Leading to the next match, which was Shockgrace versus Baracus. That match was a lot closer than Sips' match, because they were both doing similar amounts of damage. Like Shockgrace was doing 14, Baracus was doing 14. It was just going back and forth on that matter. The fact that Shockgrace has a lot more AC than Baracus made the match a little bit more intensifying. And it looked like Shockgrace was about to win, but due to some prep time from the goblins and a simple subtle spell, he managed to heal up Baracus before he was knocked out, giving Baracus the win after he smashed Shockgrace's skull with the Warhammer.
Yep.
And I could tell everybody was fucking pissed at that.
I mean, we were, but it's also one of those things we should have seen coming. Because, like, I feel like Starzin especially should have seen it coming, especially considering he had first-hand contact and knowledge about how goblins operate. So it's like, I feel like I especially should have just seen it coming about the whole thing being a rigged system to begin with. But yeah, it was still frustrating because it's like, oh great, now I have to work around this. Because it's not that he's strong or anything. It's not just the fact that he's strong and tough. It's the fact that goblins are cheating bastards.
Yeah. Goblins are real bastards in this world. But I mean, the bright side is that there was a plan involved to deal with that, because Sips did find out about the goblin priest on the other side healing Veracus, so she planned on using stealth and sneak her way over to the other side to use her engulf ability to make sure that the priest doesn't cast spells, because she would be covering his mouth. Nah, be it that the first time she tried to sneak, she failed utterly. But I did allow her to roll again with Gaines' help. Because Gaines was like, "What are you doing? I'm gonna sneak over to the other side." "Not like that, you are. Like, your footing is all wrong. Like, if you're gonna sneak, you gotta do it like this."
It's always funnier when the guy in heavier armor and the guy that's designed for nothing subtle is better at stealthing.
You know you fucked up on stealth when Gaines can see you.
Yep.
So, Sips went to the other side, prepared herself to engulf the goblin before he is able to cast a spell. Gaines went down below to the fighting area, but before that he made a deal with one of the goblins, saying, "Hey, I'm a cavalier fighter. I bet I can do a lot better with my steed with me. How about we make this deal? You let me bring in my steed, and if I win, Veracus walks free. But if I lose, considering you have a whole water theme and my steed is a Kelpie, I'll be your secondary fighter for the arena. To make fights a little bit more interesting." Which the goblins agree, and allowed Gaines to call forth Kelpie.
Yep.
Which would have been fine until the Goblin Ring announcer said that, "Let's make this a lot more interesting," and cast the Enlarge spell on Veracus. So now Gaines is dealing with a large Minotaur.
Goblins. The buffoonery bastardism never ends.
Oh, it got even worse if you remember, because the next thing that happens when a couple things happen. One was Veracus getting denied healing from his side. Unfortunately, when the next round came, there was another goblin priest on the other side where Sips, Gaines, and Shock Reyes were, that cast the healed spell on Veracus.
Yeah.
And the second thing that happened that was like, "Oh, you gotta be shitting me," was the fact that arrows were coming out, were being shot into the arena. So not only did you have to deal with a giant magma bull, there was another goblin that was healing, and now it was raining down arrows. But it was all worth it in the end, because after a couple more rounds, and good strategy on Sky's part by using the Cavalier ability where he marks a creature, and if they attack somebody other than you, he can use his bonus action to make an attack on them.
Mm-hmm. Which, that ability really came in clutch.
Oh, it did, because first attack would have knocked Varakas out, was healed because of the cleric. Then the bonus action came, knocks him out completely. And because there wasn't a second priest to heal Varakas, it was a complete knockout this time.
And thus, I was able to breathe at least a sigh of relief and unclench my tight as a vice sphincter. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, if you will go back and watch it, you can tell just from how I breathed and just was acting throughout the whole time, like, my ass was clenched.
You were so stressed out, my dude.
I was.
It was deservingly so, but still.
And, like, I was stressed because it's like, I can't do anything about this. I can't do anything about this. And it was even more frustrating because it's like, I tried to come up with a better plan, but everybody just said, nah, we got this. We don't need your help. And I'm just like, really? Really now?
I mean, there wasn't really much you could do in that situation.
So two fights, and you got your asses kicked, and you're saying you don't need my help?
Well, I mean, what kind of help would you provided?
Well, it's more in the context of, like, my plan and thought processes were completely
thrown out the window
and overlooked. I mean, realistically, in terms of, like, actually being able to do something, there really wasn't much I was going to be able to do in that circumstance. I think realistically, the best thing I could have done is let's see. We were like level 3 or 4.
You were level 4. You leveled up after you fought Alphonse.
Yeah, so realistically, there really wouldn't have been much I could have done. I mean, I didn't have invisibility, so there wasn't any way I could have snuck over in there and just tied up the other priest or anything. And anything else, and all of my other stuff that would have allowed me to do anything would have just been completely useless. Like, the most I could have realistically done is when the arrow started flying, I could have basically potentially coerced a ringside brawl where among the audience, like a mosh pit, and just make it look like someone just, like, started a fight and then the goblins had to break that up kind of thing, and we just took that as an excuse to throw some of the goblins around.
Yeah. Although, I will say, I felt like I kind of slipped up a little bit when it came to using Harley. Because, while yes, he did use a Bardic Inspiration to give to Gaines, he should have been using his Bardic Inspirations to change the rolls. Because part of his subclass as the Gambling Bard is the fact that he can change the rolls as a reaction, either when an ally rolls an attack roll or ability check or saving throw, or when an enemy rolls a attack roll, ability check or saving throw, he can change the number between 5 or 15. And I didn't really use any of that.
Yeah, that probably would have been at least a little bit more helpful, but it's really hard to say if it really would have played a much grander thing on the grand scheme of things, but
it probably
it would have at least been it would have at least been an ace in our hole.
Yeah, it would have made the combat against, at least for Gaines' part, it would have at least made it to where maybe Kelpie would have stayed in a little bit longer before she got her spine busted in from the hammer.
Yeah, it would have taken pressure off of Gaines for sure, but I think that's realistically about it.
Yeah, but all in all, you did what you set out to. You fought the Magma Bull, and you managed to get his contract. Although, with some stipulations. You were interrogated by the head goblin owner of this establishment, Goth. Imagine, if you will, a very rotund goblin wearing a monocle and greasy slick back hair, wearing a pimp hat.
We have the bastards. Now presenting Fat Bastard.
No, the ugly bastard.
The fat, ugly bastard.
Basically, he was asking, like, okay, why did you do this, though? And you came in and you basically spoke up and say, well, we need him because there was a product that Gorm had that you needed, and in order for the equivalent exchange of that item, or that object, or whatever, it was something that was an object that you first described, you need the Magma Bull's contract to make the even trade. Which, promptly right after that, both Sips and Akane spoke up, saying, essentially, like, are we not here to free him or something like that? Let's see here. I have it in our DMs.
Yeah, I actually just pulled it up too. It was like you said, like from what you said, Sip said, so we were going to free him, we were just going to sell him to another person, and Liz said that isn't fair, and I just wanted to recreate the filthy Frank image of shotgun in the mouth, screaming, because I was like, why do you have to fuck up everything I try?
Because, to be fair, you backed yourself up in a corner when it came to that conversation, because after you were explaining to Goth, like, see, this is why we needed the contract, because we needed to get a product. And then I said, so what was the product you were trying to get? And you fucking folded? You couldn't think of anything. It was a long-ass while before something was spoken.
I was, to be fair, I really was trying to bullshit it, but, like, when they fucked it up, I fucked it up. Because then I was like, God damn it. Like, it threw off my whole groove of trying to bullshit him. Because I was thinking, granted, this probably wasn't going to work to begin with, but I was thinking I could have just, like, we could have gotten the thing, played both of them against each other, because I already knew from Gorm himself that they did not like each other, and were trying to constantly one-up each other so that they could look good to Gino. And I figured, what if I could use this to my advantage here, and just try to get something, but screw them both over and make them both look stupid.
Unfortunately, that did not happen.
And it did not happen. Yeah. I didn't even get a chance to do it, and it's just like, I hate it here.
Yeah, it was very unfortunate, but
it's like I was so upset because I was like, all right, this is going well. I have a chance. Liz and Sev speak up. It's all Jover.
And it's gone. But after a bit of you actually discussing, like, Gorm has information that we need the Magma Bull to make this trade, it is important, and Gorm is like, or Goth is like, I'm nothing but a generous man, but I can't just simply give the Magma Bull for you, is for some information that Gorm may have, but I will give him to you if you can either A, find me another fighter, B, give me the money that I need to help fund this place, so that way I could hire another fighter, or C, do me a favor. Cast your votes now in the comments section of which option he chose.
Dum 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 dum. We're not gonna do this whole thing, so
And time's up. The answer was C. So yes, you took on doing a favor, which was delivering a package to the pirate warlord of greed, Gino, over in Blizzard Waste, and Goth was willing to give you the Magma as well, with the stipulation of adding a bomb collar around his neck. So if the package isn't delivered on time, it will explode.
I should have just thrown Akane under the bus.
You should have. It would have been easier. Less headaches.
But no, I have to be the good guy. I have to be the nice fence sitter.
But I mean, hey, at least you got yourself a new crew member. So
we did, and honestly, it's actually not been the worst thing in the world, despite the fact he's literally got a suicide collar on his neck.
Yeah, Baracus, the Earth Lacer Minotaur, was added to the crew, which you find out that he's been in the fighting arena for 6 months, being essentially used as their plaything for the fighting arena, to the point where they actually cold branded him on the back with the symbol of a slave, which was a necessary bit, especially necessary considering the people that you brought with you, aka Shock Reyes. Because I will say this, if you hadn't done that, odds are he probably wouldn't be a part of the crew for very long, in the same vein as Jim. So, when he saw the mark and realized the shit that is going on, and how fucked up it is, he realized that the system is kind of not good. Because Baracus is a strong man, and yet the strong man is being enslaved. Like, that's not right.
Yeah. I mean, hey, sometimes to see how fucked up and corrupt the thing is, you kind of have to look and see the horror for yourself, and ultimately, if you're willing to turn a blind eye to it or not, that kind of says a lot about a character.
Yeah, pretty much so. But after a night of staying in Whitehill, you head back down the road, and on the road you encountered another group of zombies. These ones were a lot stronger, two of them being zombie ogres, while the others have been zombies in very well-treated armor, along with equipment and crossbow skeletons, which you guys dealt with. It was a medium encounter. It wasn't that hard, especially considering the fact you guys got a surprise round on them. But little after combat, more zombies were coming near you. Which then Kalis came in, swooping on his giant crow. His giant crow Edgar, and cast a shatter spell. That did surprisingly a lot of damage to the horde of zombies, and nobody questioned. Granted, I will say, I feel like I fucked up on that because, like I said at the very beginning of these recaps, I didn't do the best job foreshadowing stuff ahead of time, and I'm using this to rectify that. But essentially, Kalis casted Shatter and did 23 points of thunder damage to the group of zombies without me rolling Constitution saving throws for them.
Yeah.
So it's not your guys' fault for not taking notice of it. It's more so me not really emphasizing it a lot more than I probably should have.
Well, it's also, I think also the thing with me is that I'm not really used to playing like really dedicated spellcasters. Like, honestly, like, here's the thing. For an Artificer, this is like my third go round, like, and technically my second go round in an actual campaign sense. Like, and other casters I've played never really were like heavy spellcasters. Like, I played a ranger, and then I did the Artificer, and that was really all. That's like really where my knowledge of being a spellcaster really kind of falls flat. Like, that's all I have to go off of. Like, I've never played a wizard, a sorcerer. I played a warlock. I played like a warlock multi-class. But like, my only real experience playing an actual legitimate spellcaster was our Halloween one shot where I played a cleric, and that's about it for that.
Yeah.
So like I really don't even know much about the Shatter spell to begin with. Much less enough to immediately be suspicious of it.
Yeah, let's just say, without rolling and saying if they all succeed, 23 damage is a high number to get, even if you save on the throw.
Right.
With that being said, you explain to Kalis the situation about Markov and how you got them, and about the Magma Bowl, and he emphasizes like, hey, make sure you have Varakis' contract on you at all times, because that is a thing that will be looked at everywhere you go. And Kalis tells you that Kane actually has information of where Markov is. So, one fast travel scene later, traveling back to Silvervein, but actually, before that happens, you guys took a stop at Gale Meadow, which development happened. The graveyard that was there, it was a lot fuller than when you last left it, due to the fact that they reburied the dead and buried new dead into the graveyard. But also the mausoleum of Alphonse and his family was torn down, and Alphonse's body was burned in shame, and forever cursed the name of Olmar, which that was his last name, Alphonse Olmar. All because of Sips's story that she spun while drunk.
Good job, Sips.
So this leads me to my next fucking complaint, and this is mostly Sips's that I'm complaining about. The fact that she's like, I mean, I feel bad for him, but essentially it was his fault that it was like, no, it was not his fault. It was not his fault that the zombies were happening. It was just a side effect of what it was happening. It's like, feel some guilt, damn it! You caused this!
I did nothing wrong.
Exactly. It's like, I feel sorry for him. His situation was bad, but I mean, he was part of the issue of why the zombies were happening. It's like, motherfucker. You dense motherfucker.
You dense motherfucker. This is all your fault.
This is you caused this.
If anyone caused this, it was you, you stupid bitch.
It's like when she was telling the story, I was smiling in her ears like, ooh, there's gonna be consequences to this, and then the payoff comes. Fucking falls flat on its face. Just like, why?
You just sitting in the max smiling. It's like, oh, I can't wait to spin this around spin this right back around and make her feel undeniable guilt. What do you mean you don't feel undeniable guilt?
You caused it!
What do you mean it's not his fault? What do you mean?
But yeah, that was another instance of me trying to do something clever, and it just, Maybe I should make everything himbo related. That seems to get everybody's attention. What's that? Alphonse was a himbo? Oh no! Markov was also a himbo that wants to raise the undead. Oh no!
It's gotta be even funnier when we just get the Jeremy Clarkson reaction of "Oh no."
Oh
anyway.
No! Anyways, God damn it! The pains like, of being a DM.
I can't win. I can't win.
I can't win. They are right. I can't. But anyways, you guys travel to Silvervein. You talked with Governor Kane, and he explains that Markov is in Mount Silver. There are two ways to get in. One is through Silver Quarry, and the other one is through a smaller section of the mines, which is in Glacial Lake. Team A will be making their way to Silver Quarry, while Team B will be taking the Riverway to get to Glacial Lake and go from there, causing a pincer maneuver so that way both exits are blocked and there is no way for Markov to escape from that location. Which you guys finally decided to bring with you Gale. After being on the bench, fitting. Yeah, it was only fitting, considering the fact that he was 2 levels ahead of you guys.
About.
Yeah, I think it was like 2 levels ahead of you. So yes, he was. So because he was a powerhouse, you guys brought him with you to Glacial Lake. The other people head off to Silver Quarry. And, yeah, you guys spent the day shopping, gathering supplies, and the next day comes. Captain Wilhelm, the captain that was on the ship when you guys made it to Silvervein, was piloting this river ship, which it was a simple ride, you know. Took you a good hour to get to Glacial Lake, but because unfortunately not everything could be smooth, especially plans that revolve around having powerhouses and going through a dangerous cave. You had a stowaway come along with you.
Stowaways aboard.
Yeah, in the form of another child, wearing a blue cloak and a white mask. Sage snuck on board because she kind of been felt left out throughout the entire time on Silvervein, and she realizes that Gale is going someplace dangerous, so she wants to be there for her papa. Which, by the way, as a callback to the expressions that Gale gave when he found out that Sage was on board, he was flabbergasted, annoyed, to slowly going to anger, to calming himself, going back to annoyed, and just basically cycling through the stages of grief in like a millisecond.
Yeah. Bro ran the gauntlet of grief in literally 2 seconds. And meanwhile, all of us are just like, we're gonna die.
We're gonna fucking die.
Get your rolls ready, because this ship is about to sink into the river.
Yeah, but after you guys, talked about it, you did decide, and considering that the fact that there was no way to turn around and drop Sage back off, because it's only, the ship can only go one direction, and the only way to turn around is by heading over to Glacial Lake and actually turning around. You were kind of stuck with Sage being part of the team, which you all did your absolute best of guarding her to the best of your ability while traveling through the mines of Mount Silver.
Yeah, we protected her like our lives depended on it.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Because they did.
Yeah, we'll get to that. But before you guys went into the mines, once again, in a stroke of brilliance, Akane, when I was explaining, the entrance of the cave, there was a familiar gray and green fog that was covering the entrance of the cave, something similar to the Doma fog that was surrounding the graveyard in Gale Meadow. For some odd reason, I can't explain why, Akane thought it was a spirit. So, it threw us all off guard. Because I listened back to it, and we were all fucking thrown off guard when she was asking the fucking wall of fog, "Who are you?" And I was like, wait, who are you talking to? The wall of fog. Why? Because you said it looked familiar.
Collective facepalm.
Collective. Yeah, it was such a moment where it's just like, you can't be that dumb. You just can't be that dumb. Are you fucking serious?
There is no fucking way you are actually thinking this wall of fog is an actual person that's familiar. Ain't no fucking way you're capping.
So anyways, you enter through the fog after everybody succeeded their wisdom check or the wisdom saving throw, which, by the way, the effect if you failed the save was essentially you would be under the frightened condition.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
there was one other thing that did happen before we got in, and this is actually to Liz's credit. She actually put some of the cold water into her canteen.
Oh,
so that she could actually use it.
Yeah, she did do that. So, for context for that, Glacial Lake is not just a name, it's how cold the water is. The closer the water is to the mountain, the colder it is, to the point of where just putting your hand in water could cause hypothermia or frostbite if not pulled out quick enough, which Gaines quickly tested that out as he dipped his finger into the water to experiment on it. But I did say if Akane grabbed some of the water, she would have a 1d6 extra damage on all bending attacks that she made with the water besides healing. So, to her credit, she did do something smart. Will not deny that from her. But you guys went in and start investigating the cavern with the aid of Stitch, On's familiar that was finally being used after what, 10 episodes?
Roughly, but you gotta remember, he wasn't there for a good chunk of them.
I mean, that's fair, but for the points that were, and me hinting that, hey, you have a familiar, maybe it'll be of use, and it's like, I'll do it later.
I also think On didn't fully understand how the damn thing works.
No, he did not. He 100% did not.
I love On, but sometimes I do wonder about him.
He needs to stop playing spellcasters. He's not good with spellcasters.
He'll get it.
No,
because unlike Liz, he'll actually try.
Okay, I'll grant you that. He will try, but I don't think spellcasting is his thing. Based off of my experience with On, he tends to have more fun with being in combat as a melee fighter, more so than anything else, more so than he is a spellcaster. Because the campaign before this, when I was running Interlopers, she was a spellcaster. She was playing a spiritualist class, which, it's basically if warlocks and sorcerers made a class together and you talk to the undead. You cast spells through them, you can convert ectoplasm points to get more spell slots to cast more spells, and all your spells are always cast at the highest level. And then she multi-classed into Dark Knight, because we both thought it was a fun idea, and because of the Final Fantasy XIV book that I found on GM's Guild. Sorry, not GM's Guild, GM Binder.
GM Binder?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we thought, hey, maybe this multi-classing would work. Turns out it didn't. In the slightest. But she mostly focused on attacking melee than casting spells. Which was a shame because she had such good spells, like Spectral Chain, where every time the enemy moves, a chain snaps and deals 1d12 necrotic damage.
Yeah. Well, I'm also going to say this much. That's a damn shame because if I remember correctly, On's favorite class is actually a spellcasting class.
Oh man, you could have fooled me. I'm not gonna lie.
This is something he has told me. Legitimately, on God.
Damn.
Now, I don't know if it actually is a class that... I don't know how he plays it, because I don't know, because I've never been in a game where he actually plays it, but who knows?
Well,
he could surprise.
What was the class?
If I remember correctly, it was Cleric.
Honestly, I can see it, because clerics can be both magical and melee fighters.
Yeah, but like I said, I don't know.
Because I also know that he likes playing paladins.
Yeah, but I think I remember him legitimately saying that, Cleric was his favorite at one point. Now, I don't know what the subclass... I don't know about the subclass or anything like that, so... Take my opinion with a grain of salt.
Yeah, that's fair. But yes. You all went into the cave. Stitch was finally used. Used as a scouting thing, which, again, props to On, because I'm so glad she understood, hey, I can use Stitch to scout ahead, and I can see through the eyes of Stitch. That was brilliant.
Yep.
And after a bit of more travel, you encountered your first enemies, which we promptly name this entire cave. God, what was the saying where it's just oh, look at our past mistakes or something like that?
Well, if it isn't the consequences of our own actions.
Yes, that. The consequences of our own actions cave. Because the first undead enemies you encountered was essentially flesh dogs made from the skin of the stone berserkers that you fought traveling to Gale Meadow, along with the bones of the flame musketeers made into skeletal warriors, and then there's the ghosts of the flame musketeers.
Yeah, we also, and that was the Dogmoles part of that one, or were they another one that was?
Oh, it was another one. That comes later. But essentially, you were fighting the Phoenix Kingdom soldiers. The first bout that you had was against them.
Or what was left of them.
Yeah, what was left of them. which you guys came out successful, and you continued to travel down into the mines a little bit more until you found a section where it wasn't an excavation site. It was actually a natural cave-in area, or a cave tunnel, which you traveled down to because there were signs that, somebody's been down here, essentially. And you traveled further, and then you met up with the dog moles that you fought in the cave where the treasure map led you.
Yep.
And you could tell because one of them had the broken spine that you karate chopped inwards with your giant metal arm.
Chop!
and you repeated the exact same thing, I think, on the exact same dog mole.
Look, I clearly failed the first time.
Hey,
so, when in doubt, do it again.
Hey, if it's not broken, don't fix it.
You want to see me do it again?
Do it again. But on top of that, not only were you fighting the dog moles, you were also fighting the dead bandits that you fought in Silverleaf.
Yep. If it isn't the consequences of our own actions.
Yeah, but again, it wasn't that big of an encounter. They were pretty easy, all things considering, especially with Gale using his ability to Tesla coil and shoot lightning as a bonus action, due to him being a Storm Herald Barbarian.
Yeah, it was one of those things where it's like, it was actually kind of easy, mostly because we had Gale with us, to like steamroll a lot of the enemies. And it was just the fact that, it was just the consequences of our own actions.
And surprisingly enough, Sage also did some work with her puppet.
Yep.
But after you dispatched those undead enemies, you travel a little bit further, and you met essentially the last crew member that you would get on Silver Vein, in the form of a caveman, dwarf, in a block of ice, about to bash the skull of a squirrel with an acorn in its hands.
Yep.
So this led to another great bit from well, I say bit as if it was designated as a joke, but no, this was completely on purpose. So you all were discussing on how you would free this caveman from the ice, because you see that his eyes were shifting, indicating that he was indeed still alive.
It just needed to get out.
And very responsive to what you guys were asking. And it was like multiple things. Like, we can thaw it with some torches. Maybe we can try to chisel it out. And it was only Sage that was like, well, can't you just make the ice into water? Bend the ice into water? To Akane. And Akane was like, well, ice isn't water.
Let that sink in. Just let it sink in. Because now, if you're having the reaction I think you're having, congratulations. You felt exactly what we felt. Complete and utter agony.
Oh, there's one more thing she does by the end of this arc that also gives us a whole bunch of fucking agony.
Yeah, but this one was pretty much the peak of it. At least in my opinion. Darn close to it.
The more we talk about Liz and Hera playing Akane, the more I'm beginning to realize I don't think D&D is her game.
I'm inclined to agree. I really am. It's like you try to throw us a bone, And what does she do with that bone? It bounces off her head and goes into the void where lost to the ages.
It's that one. You know what this is? A good comparison to this. There's a comic about these dogs. One of them is like a military dog that was retired, and he's neighbors with this other dog that's pretty fucking dumb, and this cat who is very well sophisticated. And you see, in one of the comics, you see her wearing a cone, and it's like, oh, stupid cone, why did I have to get this? It's like, because you have an infection on your neck, if you scratch it, it's going to hurt you. It's like, yeah, but this is not what I asked for. It's like, what, you thought you were going to get an ice cream cone on your head? You thought you were going to get an ice cream cone on your head, and I would do it again.
Oh my fucking god. I actually know the comic. It's a Brutus and Pixie comic.
Yes, it is.
Oh my god, she really is that damn dog. Oh my god.
Never had a better comparison been made.
There really isn't. I hate to say it, that's just accurate.
Now, with that being said, no matter how much we shit on Liz, when it comes to actually playing in combat, she does make great moves with the abilities that she does have. It's just, when it comes to out of combat scenario role-playing situations, is just where she struggles the absolute most.
And you get some people, to some, they're absolute pearls of comedy. To others, it's the phrase, come on.
Now, if she was playing an actual dumb character...
Yeah, if this was an actual dumb character, like actually hamming it up as the idiot, then we'd all be laughing our asses. But the fact that she said it and legitimately thought it is what made us hurt.
Yeah, but like I said, there's another moment. But yeah, this was definitely peak for all of us when we realized who we were playing with. But after finally convincing her to fucking bend the ice into water,
explaining that is indeed how it works.
freeing the most important character, the squirrel. Oh yeah, and also the caveman.
Shit.
You free the caveman, and you realize that when it comes to him talking, he doesn't speak common. He can understand it, but he can't speak it. He mostly speaks in a dialect that is a combination of Dwarven and Giant.
A language slurry.
Dwiant is what I will call it.
Dwiant. I think we just found the language Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson speaks.
Dwiant. Yes!
That is the first thing that came to mind.
Oh, fuck. But yes, you freed the caveman. You nicknamed him Javnung, which was in Primordial Ice, I think? It was something along those lines. Or Ice Giant or something like that. And after you freed him, ice skeletal warriors and skeletal dragon wormlings appeared, and you fought them. And it was going well until one of the skeletal warriors shot their bow and hit Sage in the forehead, dealing enough damage to knock her out to 0. One shot.
Yeah.
It was that moment where everybody was like, Oh shit!
Yeah, the best way I can describe it is like if you played the early Mario and Luigi games, it's literally when one bro freaks out when the other gets knocked out.
Zilyana used her body to help protect Sage from any other upcoming attacks. Akane quickly uses her healing magic to heal up Sage, and after the combat was done, and eventually calming down Gale, which, again, I'm missing another important bit. You find out what was underneath the mask the entire time. So originally, Gale told you that Sage was a tiefling. She just didn't, and it's just the fact that whenever it was brought up, it's like, oh, her horns haven't grown in yet, they're just nubs hiding underneath her hair, or, no, she has actual human feet, she doesn't have, the goat hooves or whatever, and basically come up with the excuses of, like, she is a tiefling.
Right.
That has been told. That has been said. It was when the mask fell apart, you realize she wasn't a tiefling. She was actually a rare race of Peregrine. And Peregrines are essentially if two genasi of different elements had a child, and they have a combination of the two elements into one child. And she was a smoke elemental. A combination of wind and fire coming together to make smoke. And yeah. So actually, this actually brings up the interesting question: what were your thoughts when that was revealed?
Lies. I'm just kidding. I was perplexed because I was like, "How?" I was like, "You're not a tiefling. What the fuck are you?"
Yeah, because Peregrines aren't really that well known after they have been outlawed. Which, after you guys dealt with the skeletons, you found a place in the tunnels to basically stay there and take a bit of a short rest. And Gale starts to explain the history of the Peregrine. So, way back when, during the Third Era, after both the empires were formed, when Peregrines were born, and essentially throughout the entire Third Era up to a point, essentially everybody lived in harmony and created new elementals such as smoke, sand, mud, ice, magma, and steam. Yeah, I forgot about steam. And everything was fine. Then the new gods arrive, which was essentially based off of natural concepts like life and death, magic and nature, and the other dark gods such as like madness and shadow, corruption, and the undead. And essentially new, and because of this, the god of corruption, Ulk, managed to start the war between the two countries, initiating the First Great War. After the First Great War was over, the people, both sides, basically the start of the Fourth Era when the war was over, and banned Peregrines from being born, except for two. Ice and magma, considering those two elements belong in their own individual kingdoms. Every other Peregrine that exists, kill on sight. They were considered abominations and should not exist. And
Kill the heretic.
Yeah, kill the heretics. And essentially, if they were to be born again, it would, kill on sight, either kill or imprison the parents, etc., etc. And that's kind of what happened with Gale, and now you know the name, Ember. Gale met his wife out in the fields of the Holy Land of Tarim. They got together after a bit of conflict, but coming to a resolution like, damn, I really like this woman. She's actually pretty nice, funny, and I can start a life with her. They had Ember about 10 years later when the Third Great War started, which is what's going on now. The mother got sick. And considering that they couldn't go to a place to heal her without suspicion being raised, she died sick. And her only request was to have her ashes spread in the Grand Sealy, because that was the one place she wanted to go to, because of all the stories she heard about the Grand Sealy from adventurers who managed to come back from it. So, through deception and a lot of remaining silent and being undetected, they got this far, and are wanting to continue to go forward until her ashes were spread in the Grand Sealy.
And now, we're still trying to make that happen.
Yes, but at least this time you know the secret that is Ember.
We know the lie.
Yeah, but hang on, wait. To be fair, there are more lies, as Gaines actually opens up about his past, as he explains that he is, wait for it,
drum roll, please,
the son of the pirate warlord of greed, Gino.
You son of a bitch.
Yes, so he was the son of the pirate warlord Gino. He was out on a mission with some other goblins. He was captured by another pirate group and was forced to row underneath the ship, the barge of the ship, for a good long while, and that is how he became jacked as he is now, because of how much he was rowing. Eventually, when one of the pirates captured the Kelpie, Gaines and the Kelpie made a connection, and they promised each other that they will help each other break free, which they did. And after which, realizing, hey, enslavement isn't cool, let's go ahead and remain free and help those who are in prison along the way. Which led to him finding the facility where Sips was at. And he broke Sips out from the facility right before she was about to be terminated for gaining sentience as a means of war. She wasn't supposed to be sentient at all. She was supposed to be a fighting, killing machine robot that was meant to deflect bullets from the enemies and adapt to the environment by changing what they are to adapt to it by gaining fire resistance, or poison, or acid, or lightning, or frost.
Weapons inferior, slime superior.
Slime with weapon superior. So then you found out the lore of Gaines.
Lies. All lies.
And yeah, I do have to ask, after the whole explanation of both these backstories, what was going through both you out of game and Starzin in game?
Well, as a player, I already kind of knew what Sips's backstory was, from the information that was shared between characters. So that was at least speculated and given enough information to at least form a somewhat reasonable conclusion. Gaines, on the other hand, that was like being blindsided by a semi speeding in a school zone. Because I was like, what? He's the son of who? Like, I just like you know that meme image where it's like something and it's that lady of the what, and it zooms into her face.
It's no. It's you know that one meme, you know that one scene from Guardians of the Galaxy where it's just like, it's too bad I had to kill your mother. What? Now I know that sounds bad.
Yeah, it was kind of like that, just without the shooting.
Yeah, without the shooting. What? Now I know that sounds bad. Now a little bit of behind the scenes on that. That bit was actually last second edition.
That was a last second edition?
Yeah, so here's the thing. We tried. All it was going to be was the fact that he used to work with Gino as one of, part of the massive crew that he has, and he was just a random goblin that was just picked up at the wrong time and was made into a slave. And I'm like, we could make this interesting. So I brought this idea up to Sky. I was saying, hey, what if we made Gaines the son of Gino? And he was very okay with that idea.
I wouldn't have guessed. I really wouldn't have. It's like there was nothing to even suggest even a thought of that, and I'm just like, wow.
Yeah, I think the idea happened around session. Yeah, I think the idea came around session 5. Actually, no, session 6 was when I first brought up the idea to him about it, because honestly, we didn't know much about. Me and him couldn't think of anything for Gaines that would be interesting, to say the least. So I thought, so originally, out of the blue, one day, it's like, what if they were related? Man, the tensions would be phenomenal. So, yeah, so we agreed, and that's kind of how we went with it. He was the son of Gino, and he refused to go back, considering the fact that he broke into one of Daddy's facilities that was used for making weapons.
Yeah. It's like, let's make the tensions even higher. It's like, not only did he just not come back, he broke into a facility and stole something.
Now, I will say, there was no evidence of him stealing Sips. He managed to do that right, was the fact that he wasn't able to leave a trace of him to be brought back to him if it was ever investigated. So, but the fact that he could be recognized as Gino's son, and more so questioning is like, hey, why are you here? Kind of deal, was enough for him to warrant for him to remain low and remain on the down low.
Yeah.
So yeah. So yeah, his backstory was kind of last second after the campaign started.
Yeah.
Although there was, so I guess I think the last thing was, what did you think of the backstory of the Parachins?
I was like, child, protect, child, protect. Okay, you know what? I'm the victim of a war crime, but if anything happens to this child, I'm going to commit the last war crime this world ever sees.
I will create a nuke. I have the intelligence to make a nuke. Don't tempt me. But
and all because you killed a kid.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, I went a very dark route coming up with the history of the world of Primaria with this, but I kind of wanted to add to it because I kind of want to add it because I think it would be good. I think it would be a good attention to detail and good story as for why you don't see other Peregrines that exist, is because either they managed to escape into the Grand Sealy or they have been killed off.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest. It's a dark thing, but I honestly think I think it's well done with how it's implemented and how it really helps explain the way the world is. So, yeah, I mean, it's dark, but it's actually pretty well done.
Thank you. But anyways, after you guys took a short rest, you were greeted upon by the sound of a cat's bell. As you look down into the tunnel, you find a black cat holding a red and black tavern dart in its mouth, and when you went to investigate it, he dropped it right in front of you and points to, essentially, basically gestures for you to throw it at the wall. Which you did, and summoned a door with the emblem of, essentially, the Crimson Lounge emblem that you see as the profile image of this channel. But instead of that color, it's gold. It's gold plated. And you all went inside, and you were now introduced to the Crimson Lounge. It's a magical item that I made. Essentially, the whole point of the Crimson Lounge is to make it to where, when you use it, essentially a long rest will last up where in here you are you can be fully rested up to 8 hours. But when you head back outside, only an hour has passed. And if you take a short rest here, like 1 minute has passed outside in the real world, essentially. It was designed to be a respite for adventurers who are in a dungeon, essentially, and right before as they're about to fight a boss of some kind or go into a dangerous room, and they're pretty fucking low on resources, they can go in there and take a bit of a rest. And of course, I made lore about it, as you were introduced to the tavern owner, Alexander.
Good old Alexander.
Yes. In case you aren't, for those who aren't aware of the reference I made with the Crimson Lounge, this was heavily inspired by the Velvet Room.
Yeah, the inspirations actually didn't stop there. It actually went full on to even so. If we were able to, the music would have straight up been the Velvet Room's theme from Persona.
Matter of fact, before we started recording, that's what I used for the Crimson Lounge, was the Velvet Room theme. Every time you guys used it, because that's what it was, essentially. Because, damn, I love Persona.
You do.
Yeah, and I like the idea of the Velvet Room to the point, but instead of making it to where you can upgrade and get personas, it's more of a respite for adventurers who have been traveling. for a long time, and the only payment that you need is the payment of your story so far. Other than that, pretty much all the food that you would get from the tavern, all the food and drink you would get from a regular tavern is essentially free, as long as you give Alexander a story based off the adventure that you are going through. And as an interconnected world, he actually has a lot of stories from other multiverses. Like, there are some from the first campaign, from the previous campaign that I ran, which was Interlopers and Menagerie. And there were some from one-shots, such as that Final Fantasy 1 one-shot I ran.
Oh, God, I really don't want to remember that.
Yeah, and basically every campaign or one-shot that I ran, I essentially made it canonical that they've all been to the Crimson Lounge at one point or another.
Some have even tried to replicate it to various degrees of success.
In our group, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, in our group. I, of which never did.
Fucking cucked me on one of them.
I did. And it was the greatest thing ever.
Fucking you tantalized me when we did that Paper Mario one shot. It's like you open up a crate, you see a tavern dart, and it's like, is this what I think it is? I don't know. Is it? I throw the dart at the wall. You throw the dart at the wall, nothing happens.
No, I literally just say you throw the dart at the wall and then just stay silent for a good minute, and then he just says in the most betrayed voice, "You motherfucker!"
You motherfucker!
We all just died laughing.
Oh.
Oh, that was my greatest cucking ever.
Man. And here's the thing, I let everybody know, hey, if you want to use the Crimson Lounge, you can absolutely use the Crimson Lounge. By all means.
Yeah, I just did it just to fuck with him.
Oh, man, but... yeah, but this time, the fucking Crimson Lounge fucking worked!
Well, of course it did, it's a game.
Yeah, exactly, motherfucker, you better than some bitch-ass motherfucker. So mad. But anyways, you sat down, you talked to Alexander, you explained the story that you've had so far, and you took your long rest, and you popped back out to continue further into Mount Silver, eventually meeting up with a illusion of Markov, and you began having somewhat of a debate with him on his ideals of what he's doing and how it's wrong versus what he's doing and why it needs to happen. So essentially what his plan is that there was a great worm silver dragon that died within Mount Silver, and he is planning on waking it up with a obelisk of Mara to use it as a way to waken it up and transform it into a Draco-Lich Great Worm Silver Dragon. God, that's a mouthful.
Yes, it is.
And
we are not sorry.
No, we are not sorry. And use that power to destroy both kingdoms. In full entirety, destroy both kingdoms, and he will take the mantle as the one and only ruler, considering that he thinks that the problem is because there are two kingdoms that are duking it out for power. If there was one kingdom, there would be no reason for war. Conflict would stop, and everybody would live their life as usual. Which, of course, you pointed out the flaws in that.
Well, yeah, because you'd have to be a blind fool not to see the flaws in it, which Markov was at this point, let's be honest.
Yeah, the power of the book very much corrupted him in the ways of not seeing how that it was a bad idea.
Yeah, it's like I feel like my character really wouldn't even point out it's a bad idea for the sake of it, like it's evil. He would point it out and say, "Look, it's not even the fact it's evil; it's the fact it's bad. It's not even a good evil plan. Like, holy hell, dude! Do you not see how badly thought out this is?"
I mean, if you can care to explain why it's so bad.
Well, I mean, I could, but I think we should wrap this up.
All right.
Like, I could go into it, but the simplistic way to put it is, like, from a character perspective, it's looking at it of you're trying to completely destroy two things, put yourself in power, and basically say it's my way or the highway.
Uh-huh.
And that's not how that works. I'm just gonna say it.
Yeah, that's true.
Because you do that, the best way I can describe this is actually how Iroh said it at the end of Avatar: The Last Airbender. For when they posed the idea of him basically be fighting in Aang's place to fight Ozai, the Fire Lord, it wouldn't work because it would just be a brother fighting a brother. It would be someone fighting for power. It would look like someone fighting for power and just essentially a dictator replacing a dictator. And that it doesn't end well. To quote Titan from Megamind, "You're not saved, more like under new management."
Yeah.
And you can't do that and expect it to go well.
I mean, to be fair, do you want to say no to a fucking fuck-all giant undead dragon?
I mean, I wouldn't. But the thing is that you have to assume that everybody is going to bend the knee to that, and there's going to be people that are stupid and brave enough to say no.
Yeah,
and have and most importantly, have the cojones and the experience, the backbone and equipment to back it the fuck up.
Yeah, I agree with that. But after this debate and essentially coming down to your guys' ideology is like there's no headway of changing his mind, and eventually you guys make it into the main chamber where the heart of the great worm silver dragon is. And you see the pillar, and you see the obelisk, and you see Markov basically putting in his necromantic magic into it to activate it, while several undead skeletons and a skeleton frost giant came in to protect Markov to finish the ritual. Which leads us to our final bit that gave us the "why did you fucking say or do that, Liz?" When it was her turn, she really wanted to fucking use the title push ability. So much so that she ran past 3 enemies?
Oh.
Provoking attacks of opportunity from each and every single one of them.
I forgot about this one.
Yeah. And it's like there's been multiple times throughout this entire first arc where we tell her, hey, this is how attack of opportunity works, and she doesn't fucking remember or listen.
You know what the worst part is? Now remembering it, I can't decide if that was the peak of it or if it was the ice is not water was the peak of it, because it's like on the one hand, with the ice is not water, you could at least stupidly give her the benefit of the doubt of she just didn't understand how third grade science works.
That's bad.
And I know I'm being harsh when I say that, but I literally mean that. It's like how, like, I could understand you if you legitimately did not remember or completely forgot, or that was just a weird blank in your memory. Fine. There's at least a benefit of the doubt. It is a bad one, but it's a benefit of the doubt no less. 3 opportunity attacks. She has been playing for what, 5 years up to that point?
Yeah. 5, 6 years or so.
And she plays a rogue, a class that is notorious for getting in and around opportunity attacks.
Well, if they have the mobile feed, then yeah.
Well,
that and also disengage as a bonus action.
Yeah, exactly. Disengage, or hell, even dodge as a bonus action.
No, it is not. It is hide, disengage, or dash.
Oh, is it? Oh, does dodge not count?
No, it does not.
I thought it was. Well, to be fair, I have yet to actually play a rogue.
Yeah.
Well, no, that's not true. I played a rogue once, but anyways.
Yes.
Back to my point.
Yes, back to the point.
You'd think that that being considered her favorite, herself, literally saying it's her favorite class, you'd think she would understand and have a solid grasp on how opportunity attacks work. And then she does something like this.
Which I pointed out is like, wait, you're gonna get 3 opportunity attacks. It's like, wait, why am I getting 3 opportunity? You ran past them? Are you fucking serious?
Yeah, I think
it was either we pointed it out and she was confused why that was happening, or it was the fact that she didn't care that she was getting 3 opportunity attacks. It was one of those two. But I think it was the former.
I'm not sure which it is. I'm convinced it was. I'm sure it was the former, but I'm also going to say this much: it doesn't matter which one it was. It wouldn't have been any better.
All that.
Actually, I think we would have been more. I think we would have been way more frustrated if it was the don't care. Actually.
Oh. Yeah.
Because then we would have just been like, "Why are you here then?"
All that so she could fucking use title push. Like, god fucking damn it.
Like, if you were casting a 9th level fireball, then sure, go for the risk. Like, there's a good chance you're gonna nuke someone's ass, but pain.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the last bit of pain she caused through this session. As, yes, so she went off, she went to go ahead and fucking try and get herself killed. And so that was happening. I think it was either Sips or you that decided to... Actually, I think it was you, Sips, and, Gaines on top of Kelpie that made a mad dash to Markov, while fucking Gale let me solo him to the fucking skeleton frost giant. The storm that is approaching is him.
That was pretty much how it went. He just went, let me solo him.
Essentially. Oh man, he was a level 6 barbarian at the time, fighting a like CR6 skeletal creature.
I don't know.
And
you would know more about the creature
winning. Like, he was a mad lad, man.
Hey, barbarians. They're the definition of fuck around and find out.
Yeah.
I really want to pull my one barbarian concept out one of these days.
Yeah, it was a it was a CR6.
And he was just let me solo him.
Let me solo. I got this, man. I got this, fam. Don't worry about it.
I got
you, fam.
I got you, homie. But yeah, it was us three making a mad dash for Alphonse, Markov, and pretty much just trying to do everything we could to just stop him from finishing it and just kill him.
It was a nail biter because he was too. So the notches were 1 to 10. He was at 8. He just needed one more good roll, and the dragon would have been resurrected. It was only until after Gale was done dealing with the skeletal frost giant, he made his way up to the top and bashed Markov with the rocket hammer into the pillar, then through the obelisk, sending him flying to the other side of the cavern.
Yeah. It was that we won that. We only won that one by the skin of our teeth.
Oh man. And yeah, here's the other thing. If you guys, and I already told them this, but for those who want the insider scoop, if they failed that game, if they failed at resurrecting the skeleton, the Great Worm Dragon, essentially they would have all died because Cave would have came in, crushed them all, they would have all died, and essentially we would have had to start the campaign over again, but with the concept of, hey, Markov took over Primaria, and the new concept is you guys have to deal with the Lich King and his dragon now by going to the Grand Sealy and finding aid there to deal with him.
Yeah. So if we lost, it was instant game over.
Yeah, but it would be on to another story.
Yay.
But you didn't. But you did not fail. You succeeded, and you managed to retrieve the book back. Albeit with a bit of dispute between you and On, but it was all resolved in the end.
Yeah.
Let's not bring it up.
Yeah, let's not.
You checked through him before he died. Before he was turned to ash, because unfortunately the side effect of reading the Book of Vile Darkness is the fact that it destroys your soul, making it to where you have to have the book on you to live. And after he was freed from the book, he finally admits the regret that he had, because all he wanted to do was help his kingdom the best way he can by making good soldiers, so that way the war can end faster. So that way not many of his friends are killed in the crossfire. But it was just the fact that the book corrupted him to the point of where, no, this is the new goal. It's going to work. Trust me.
Yep.
Which, you did find a photo that he wanted you to give to Commander Rivers of him, Rivers, and everybody that was on the first ship that they were a part of before they were promoted to work to help run Silvervein.
For they all got a fucking stupid promotion.
Yeah. And after a bit, you were met up with the rest of your crew members that were dealing with their own undead scourges. And Kalis came up to you holding a box, and he explained to you, Lot, Kane gave him this box to put the book inside of, so that way it's under security and won't be messed with as we bring it back to him. And you put it in the box.
I sure did.
And Kalis looked at you and said, huh, well, that was easy, and teleported to the top of the spire, then cast Wall of Force to make sure you don't come after him by putting you in a force that is a box force, essentially. And he explains to you that he was the Phantom that was on the cargo ship that stole the book in the first place. It was stolen from him after Markov found it in a raven's nest that he hid it from. Essentially, he wanted to get the book back by using your lot's help on this, but as you guys continue to, as he continued to accompany you, he actually became to like you guys and consider you guys friends, which that was not the feeling you were giving off to him in the slightest. You absolutely fucking hated him when you found out that he was the thief. And he stole the book again.
Yep.
After which
we were played like fiddles. No, actually, we weren't even played like... No, we weren't even played like fiddles. We were played like kazoos.
Which afterwards, he basically says, as much as I would like to stick around, I do have plans with this book, so bye. As he teleports out of the room, he drops the Wall of Force, causing you guys to flee after him. He makes it to the outside of the cavern, into the top, to the peak of Mount Silver, where he jumps off the edge and rides on Edgar off island with the Book of Vile Darkness in hand.
Yep. And thus began all of our minds just going, I just want to talk to him. I just want to talk to him.
Just holding the shotgun.
I just want to talk to him. I just want to shoot him.
Ah, Christ. I waited so long for that fucking reveal to happen. And here's the thing. Here's the thing. I set this up several times where he does get the book in the end. It just depends on how he gets it. I was not expecting the outcome of, oh, you're just giving it to me. Okay. Essentially, if you said, okay, I'll hold on to the box and I'll put the book inside, he put in a thing where it would have teleported into his backpack the moment the lid closes, and none of you guys would have been the wiser at that point.
Yeah, I feel like in this circumstance, it was actually the best thing to happen, because at least we know he flat out just stole it and stabbed us in the back.
Yeah, that's true.
Rather than just going to Kane with an empty box and just being none the wiser, it's like, what?
Yeah, so yes, no matter what would have happened, he would have gotten the book, but it was how he was going to get the book that was going to be a game changer. You know?
Mm-hmm.
But yes, after you guys head back to Silvervein, you talk to Kane, you explain the situation to Kane, you explain the situation to Talus, Kalis' father, and boy, he was not happy about that. You all had a group meeting, and essentially he is giving you guys a ship. Because he believes that you guys can actually make a difference here. Due to the fact that you've accomplished so much on this island, just by the small amount of you here, you guys on a pirate ship, or at least on a ship sailing the seas, that you guys could make a difference. On top of that, he gave you a medallion, a red medallion, containing a weird symbol on it that he explains is a key that will help them find the Primordials bounty. And all he requested is, and basically, yeah, he's giving it to you because he has complete faith that you can find it. And lastly on the docket was electing a captain to run the ship.
Yeah. And that was a discussion and a half.
It was the most complicated thing we have ever done. Because On wasn't around that often to make it to where it's obvious that she was going to be captain. Nor was it. It was like the obvious answer was Starzin, because he was there for all of it. He was the one who talked to the most of the NPCs, who directed everybody, who was guiding everybody, who was helping everybody, and making official, basically being a leader type figure for the majority of the adventure.
I basically called a lot of the shots.
Yeah.
Even if everybody was fucking me over.
Yes. Which, honestly, I kind of wanted that to happen too, but you didn't want to take the captain position, and I know On would be pissed off if we did that when he wasn't here, but...
Well, here's the thing we actually do need to explain for the sake of the audience, because this is something I feel like really needs to be stated for the record.
Yes,
On was originally planned to be the captain from the get-go when this campaign was in the beginning stages of being planned, and everybody was trying to set up, and Joe was trying to set up a party for this thing. I wasn't even originally supposed to be a player in this game, let alone even be a contender for captain or even first mate. So that's something important that we do have to give context for. And now, it's just unfortunate that a lot of On's issues kind of just stem from just the unpredictable nature of his life and just everything that was coming up from, like, work-related problems, stress from his family, sickness, and all the other stuff in between that comes from those different things. It's just it's been a mess for him, and ultimately it was kind of the reason he just wasn't able to be there a lot, which was unfortunate, because if he would have actually been able to play a better part, and actually has, even since then, done his best to be here, make efforts to be the leader and be the captain that he really wanted to be. But of course, when this all started, I was the obvious pick, because, well, that's kind of what I had to do, because a lot of the roles were pre-set up and predetermined. Like, before starting the campaign, along with the captain role, a lot of us kind of were dishing out and kind of trying to decide, okay, who's going to be doing what particular role on the ship. And again, there was a lot of complications with setting up players who were going to even be in the campaign, because some of them who were originally planned or never even ended up because they left our group for one reason or another. And because of that, the roster for our game kind of changed a lot. Even to the point where I came in and everybody's position was largely predetermined, and I was the last one of the last few, and said, well, if nobody really wants to take the first or mate position, because I see that's one that's not taken, I'm willing to take a second in command position. And, you know, I accepted that one, and ultimately I've been trying to play the job of the first mate very well, and as a result, I did too good of a job and was considered captain worthy.
It's even more funny because Sips was at first trying to vote for On, and the moment I asked, okay, for what reason? And he was like, because she, I'm sorry, I can't vote for On. Like, folded. Like an omelet.
Yeah, Clyde tried his damnedest, because he knew the whole thing too, like we all knew, but he tried his damnedest to find anything, even a sliver of a reason to vote for On as the captain. And the harder he tried, the more it was obvious that he just couldn't do it from a character perspective.
Yeah.
And it's like just said he folded like an omelet, and I was just like, God damn it.
The only reasonable thing that we came up with was the fact that On was wary of Kalis at the beginning of it, and the fact that you were so willing to be trusting to him, you found that you weren't worthy of being captain, and the fact that Zilyana had a more critical eye, what a captain should have when it comes to making decisions and stuff like that, it should go to Zilyana. Which, it made sense enough for essentially everybody to be like, yeah, that makes sense, we'll go with that.
Yeah, and even then, player-wise, we were able to go with it. NPC-wise, it was a little tricky, but when recruiting the NPCs to be part of the crew, it was at least seldom reassurance for them to know that I was at least going to be the first mate, so I would still be in a command position.
I think some of them didn't care as much on who's being captain. I think let's see here. Iris didn't care, because all she cared about was the gemstones. And, right. You know, paying for her talent, she would give her the first gemstone that you guys find whenever she's in a scouting party with you guys. First dibs on a gemstone that she does not have. Harvey, well, was racistly called out by Akane.
So as long as Akane wasn't the captain.
Yeah, it was a bad fucking setup for that one. Like, Akane was tripped out the gate with recruiting.
God, right. I forgot about that too.
Yeah, you came in. You came in and saved it.
How is it that I legitimately forget some of Liz's biggest fuck-ups? Like, I don't even understand how the... Oh my god, it's like, she just came in and made racial stereotypes about him drinking and being a blacksmith and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's like you're a blacksmith. It's like, I'm an alchemist. I make bombs. If you're going to hire me, at least know what I'm capable of doing.
Hashtag not all dwarves. Thanks.
Fuck.
Yeah, I had to come in and salvage that, which I honestly think I barely managed to, with the fact that I was basically chastising her. It's like, what?
Yeah, but it wasn't barely. Harvey liked you, considering that you gave his bombs a chance. And, you know, you were appraising his work due to the fact that he was using garbage to make these said bombs. and the fact that you were basically complimenting him on his resourcefulness, and he kind of liked you for it. So after you explain the situation, I'm like, hey, we are going on the seas. I think your potion and bomb expertise would be helpful in our travels. And he was like, okay, will do. Shock Reyes didn't care. He was willing to go. Jim, I think, was the only one that was like, so who's going to be captain? And Sips explained, like, Zilyana is like, oh, I thought it would be Starzin, but I guess that's all right, I suppose.
I don't know. It's just the general vibe I kind of got from some people, from some of the NPCs. It was just the vibe I got.
Yeah, and that's fair. That's fair.
But I do like to think that even if they didn't really care, it's again seldom reassurance just that someone that at least was pulling a lot of the leader weight actually still is in a command position. But that's just my personal thinking.
Yeah, and
I'm not hoping.
But essentially, after a good night of drinking and having fun and recruiting your crew members, you got your ship, and
right,
yeah, you got your ship that was crafted by both Talus and Kalis. That was the thing. That was the ship that Kalis was making with his father. Was your guys' ship?
Yep.
And you called it, and essentially you called it the Black Rose, and you sailed forth out of Silvervein, and thus completing the Welcome to Silvervein arc.
Yeah, our last night on Silvervein, drinking, some real fun.
Oh yeah, you got laid.
And some. Oh, I wasn't the only one.
Oh yeah, fucking you and Sips got laid that night.
Oh my god, that was a fucking.
Although I think Sips was a lot louder.
Sips was easily the louder.
Imagine every thrust. There's a lightning bolt.
I mean, honestly, that's exactly what I was honestly thinking happened during it anyway, because that's the only thing that would have made fucking sense.
Do you know the Seabat meme?
No.
So there's a song that this guy plays during sex. It's a bad song, but he can't have sex without it. So whenever he basically thrusts his hips to the beat of the song.
Oh my fucking God.
And there's a moment where his wife was essentially like, okay, tonight we are not playing that song, but he's playing it inside of his head, so he's thrusting to the beat inside of his head, and his wife is like, I know what you're thinking right now, I can feel it.
Jesus. What the fuck?
But that's all I imagine with Chakra is that song, but every time the beat hits, it's a lightning bolt.
Oh my god. And that's how he has to do it. He can't do it any other way.
Hold on, I gotta fucking send you the link to this.
My fucking god. Like, I can imagine it, but it's like... Oh my god, like... I'm just kind of glad that we stopped Clyde from trying to describe it, because he would have gone full in.
Yeah, fucking no filter on this one. But I do have to ask, throughout the entire 13 sessions, from start to finish, what were your thoughts?
Honestly, I thought it was a really good arc to kind of get the whole thing set up and started, and really did get, and despite being a beginner level arc, really set some good stakes. And it really did allow for the perfect amount of opportunity to get to know every single character, both player and NPC, and really kind of help set the stage for everything that could have happened going forward, which I think is a really good thing because it allowed us to lay the groundwork for actual relations with everybody, so that we can continue to build it like we have been doing throughout the campaign thus far. I mean, a good example is Sips laying the groundwork for something between herself, Shock Reyes, Harvey, and a few and even a few others. But more specifically, I feel like he's definitely got a good thing going with Shock Reyes and Harvey specifically, especially as things have gone on so far. Because, well, Shock Reyes, because she got to tap that dragon ass.
Dragon ass, motherfucker! Motherfucker got that dragon ass!
And for Harvey, because she's got an alchemy buddy.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got Zilyana, who's actually trying her best to be a leader, be at least considerate of everybody's opinions, and actually going out of the way to check on other people. You've got, even though Boss was a late addition, you got him just being his goofy ass self.
Which honestly, oh thank God.
Because he's hamming it up with his character, trying to be friendly with our characters, trying to be that good friend to Jade, and to a great extent Harley.
Yeah, Jade.
And,
there was Jade, Harley. You definitely trying to form some sort of relationship with you, at least.
Well, we got a good thing going.
Yeah, but I guess with that being said, with the fact that two of the original members are gone, essentially, with the amount they put in, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, so I'll start with Sky, because Sky is something I can actually really get in and get in good with. So I really liked Sky. I loved Gaines, and I loved all of the work that he put into it, and the build actually was something I actually like the fighter class. I do. But I think it's a weird class that I like it, but I only like a handful of its subclass features, because not because they're bad, but because I feel like there's only one or two good options that really make the class stand out and actually use it to its full effectiveness. And of course, I'm going to say Battle Master, because that gives you the perfect amount of versatility and still allows you to fuck shit up. And it's because of that, just not even because the other classes are bad, it's just they pale in comparison to the overall power that is the versatility.
Yeah.
To see the Cavalier in action and to see him actually use it well just goes to show that even if it doesn't have the same merits as a subclass that, as several of us have said, should be integrated into the class to begin with, you can still make it work, and still make it work beautifully.
Yeah. Although I will say, we did have to add some modifications to it, where he summons the horse instead of, having to buy a new one because they die easy if you're in combat. A good example of that was when one of the horses got their heads blown off from the Phoenix Kingdom soldiers.
Yeah, and I think that's a change that was a good change. And honestly, I think that should just be. This is in my personal opinion. I think it should work like that anyway, where it works like I think it's like the Find Steed spell.
It worked like the summon.
Summon.
It wasn't summon. It was a ranger ability. I think it was a Beast Tamer from Tasha's Cauldron.
Right.
Yeah, I took that from Tasha's Cauldron, where he can change the steed depending on what level, either to a land, water, or sky beast. So that way he has the full range of it.
Yeah, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I understand what you mean.
Yeah, I think that's something that should be integrated into that version of the subclass, but again, that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
I liked a lot of his backstory and his role playing, and also he was just a fun person to play the game. But I understand that a lot of his schedule just kind of started to not line up, and things kind of started to get a little, and a lot of stuff with him started to change, and that's fine. I understand. It sucks, but I mean, ultimately, that's just how it goes sometimes.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, and if there is a chance that Sky does come back, he will definitely. There's definitely a room for him at the table if we aren't filled up already.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, but he's definitely someone I would like to have back at the table.
Liz, on the other hand, I think her splitting from the group was, or from the table, was honestly the best thing for her, because like, this is something Clyde said, and I actually agree with it. She's not here to play D&D. She's here to role play. And that's something I agree with. I think Liz can come up with some decent concepts, and I think when she actually tries, she actually knows what she wants to play, and she knows what to role play when she's actually trying. The problem is that heavily depends on her mood and the day. And because of that, she can take even the most solid concept, the most perfect concept to be handed to her on a silver platter, and just water it down because she's either just not all there, or she just doesn't care that day. And it sucks, because we've all seen glimpses of the true brilliance that she has, and try to encourage her to do it. But you can't help someone who just doesn't want to put forth the effort. You can't help someone who isn't going to do it. And I feel like with Liz, that's just what it was. She didn't want to, and there just wasn't any way we were going to force her, no matter how much positive or negative reinforcement we tried to do. And granted, we harped on her pretty heavy, and we really should have been a little less so on it. But I honestly feel like even if we were less, it really wouldn't have changed anything. She would have left because she would have felt like she wasn't contributing enough, or she would just feel like she doesn't belong there, or even one of the other reasons she said is just like she's not someone who can play for a recorded game. And that's something I also agree with. Like, I think if we weren't recording the game, I think she probably would have stuck around for a little longer, but
ultimately it would probably lead to the same route of her
it would I mean, ultimately it would have led to the same route, but I think that because it was recorded, that was another really good enough reason for her to just say, yeah, I don't want to be in the game anymore.
Yeah.
And that's fine. Stuff like this isn't for everyone. It sucks that we weren't able to make it fun for her, but at the end of the day, I feel like a lot of the issues with her just came down to the simple fact that that cooperation with her is a two-way street. we're trying to meet in the middle with her, and she's struggling to meet in the middle with us. And sometimes it grated on us. Like, sure, we can laugh at some of the stuff she did now, but back then it was incredibly frustrating.
Oh god, yeah, it was.
Because with a lot of it, it was two good examples are the three opportunity attacks, which she should have known better.
The ice.
There was no excuse,
water.
And ice is not water, in which she literally had a bone thrown to her, and the bone was thrown at her, hit her in the head, landed at her feet, and was just perfect opportunity to allow her to shine and do something cool.
Like I said, she is the female dog in the Brutus and Pixie comic.
And what does she do with the bone? Snaps it and throws it away like it's a twig.
Yeah.
And it's like, Liz, come on. We're literally trying to give you an opportunity to be cool, and you can't even see it for whatever reason.
Yeah. Honestly, I agree with you. I think, honestly, her being out of the game was probably the best for the both of us, all things considering, because I don't think her. I can agree with the fact that she's there to roleplay, but I won't agree that she was doing her best to roleplay, because there have been several opportunities where I was, like, waving the fucking carrot on the stick, like, hey, here's a role-playing opportunity. You want it? Do you want it?
No,
No? Well, fuck.
I understand that, and it's like, truth be told, I'm really wanting to give her the benefit of the doubt of she wanted to try, but she was just totally brain farting. But honestly, let's be honest, even that is just a empty hopeful thoughts that I'm just grasping on to make it seem like I'm not harping on her, which I really am not trying to.
I'm hoping that I'm playing Akane as well as I can be.
I mean, I'll say this much. You're doing a good job of it, and I hate to say this, you're playing her better than Liz would. Because I think Liz gave enough of a guideline that most players could pick up and follow. Because thankfully she is very simplistic in that regard.
Yeah.
She can take the most complicated and deep concept and actually simplify it to a way that most would understand. Even if, like, I think even a first-time player could actually work with it, and that's actually a good thing, because, I mean, in cases like these, you need something simple to work with.
Yeah, I agree with that. So all in all, so far, Silver Vein was a very good arc.
It was a good arc. It was good stakes. It was good introduction to the world, good introduction to the characters, the perfect opportunity to lay the groundwork for relationships, both romantic, platonic, and even friendship. So, and now we're trying to deepen all those relationships. Me with Iris and most of the other crew members, Zilyana with everybody else, trying to prove that she can be trusted. Sips with Harvey and Chakras, and Brutus with Jade, me, and Harley.
Although, at this point, I'm wondering if that's going to be a relationship between Brutus and Jade. That would be a very awkward relationship. An alligator and a bunny rabbit.
I've seen weirder.
Zootopia.
Honestly, I think you would... Honestly, that's not even the one I'm here for. The one I'm there for is the one between him and Harley. That's one I could actually see.
Bright side, and the thing is, Harley is 100% bisexual. He swings both ways.
I mean, that doesn't surprise me.
Although, with that being said, there's really nothing to give when it comes to Harley. Especially with what he is as a pumpkin.
Don't worry. Don't worry. If they need help in the bedroom, I can help with that.
Starzin, I need a prosthetic cock.
What? I mean, chances are he would be perplexed by it at first. But if people start asking for it, well, namely Zilyana first, chances are it's gonna get to a point where it's like, all right, what sex toy do you need this time? And how much do you need the dial to go up to? 500 is not a number. I will go as high as 15, and that's it.
I find it so hilarious. Like, it's like there's moments where we're trying to censor ourselves from making these sex jokes, but then I realize, oh wait, Critical Role's a thing. They make sex jokes all the goddamn time.
They do. I mean, granted, we do try to at least censor the heavy stuff, which I think is the preferable way to go about it.
Like the Coca-Cola. Which, if you saw that video, you know I did it.
Jesus.
But yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think the fact that we're just doing the simple stuff and just kind of trying our best to keep it as tame as we could, given the fact our group is mostly full of horny bastards.
Yeah.
I mean, one of us is literally playing a succubus. It's kind of hard to.
Oh yeah, that's right. Zilyana revealed herself as a succubus.
We have to make sure that's kind of hard to top. I mean, hell, I'm even trying to roleplay my character, slowly getting used to the fact that the captain is just occasionally going to appear next to him with her tits out.
Hey man,
and he's just gotta slowly get used to the fact that.
I will say that I will say that actually did happen at one point.
Oh yeah, it does happen. It does happen if you watch most of our sessions. It actually does happen.
Yeah.
But maybe we'll cover a recap of that one day.
Yeah. Yep. As this concludes the Silvervein arc, which the next arc, the next mini arc, because we're still, surprisingly enough, we are still in arc 2, even up to now, due to the fact that the entire traveling from Silvervein to the Grand Sealy, that's all arc 2. It's just little mini arcs in between, as you go from island to island with the events that are going on there. So the next arc that we will be covering, like 3 months from now, maybe, depending on when the inspiration comes in, will be the Windy Hill arc.
Yep, and there's gonna be a lot of good stuff to unpack there.
Yeah, but with that being said, thank you guys for watching the latest recap of Primordial's Bounty. I hope you guys enjoyed.
Damn. Good.
Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please subscribe, follow, leave a like or a comment, and we will talk to you guys later. Say goodbye, Creepah.
Goodbye.
Yeah, bye.